Chapter 38-23. Kang Shinmu watched as the clear ripple water dragon crushed the flame explosion scroll. Then, the divine dragon's body was pulled by the ice threads, crashing into the dense forest dozens of miles away. What kind of fey beast released the ice threads? It can actually fly dozens of miles away. It's so terrifying. Kang Shinmu's heart trembled. He could tell that Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyu were idiots. Transforming into divine dragons and flying high in the sky, it was impossible for them to escape from the fey beast. Instead, if they had quietly escaped in the dense forest, there was a glimmer of hope. Because flying high in the sky, without the cover of the dense forest, it was easier for the fey beast to hit them with the ice threads and pull them back. But it seemed that Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyu had flown hundreds of miles away. The terrifying fey beast did not continue to release ice threads to attack them. It was as if it had disappeared. But Kang Shinmu knew that the fey beast was definitely still there. But the fey beast was enjoying the clear ripple water dragon and Jiang Qiyu's subordinates. When the flame explosion scroll exploded in the sky, the experts of the Jiang clan quickly flew over from afar. They were extremely fast. After all, the Jiang clan experts responsible for the rescue were all beyond the dragon ascension realm. Their strength was not something that a dragon warrior like Kang Shinmu, who had just transformed into a dragon, could compare with. Even if a sky fey above the earth fey level appeared, the rescue experts would be able to deal with it. Since the rescue experts have been mobilized, I can go take a look. Kang Shinmu was curious about the terrifying fey beast. He quietly went deeper into the sky-herding forest in his human form. He wanted to see the full appearance of the fey beast. What he didn't expect was that before he could go far, he saw the appearance of the terrifying demonic beast. It was actually a giant spider demonic beast that was hundreds of feet tall. The demonic beast's body was covered with an extremely thick layer of ice crystals. Bone-piercing winter spider. It's actually a sky fey. When Kang Shinmu saw the creature, he felt a wave of fear. Everyone in the Jiang tribal clan was familiar with the bone-piercing winter spider. This was because a few years ago, a dragon warrior had brought a bone-piercing winter spider back to the Jiang clan. He wanted to study it or tame it, but in the end, the bone-piercing winter spider showed its prowess in the Jiang clan. It killed hundreds of innocent Jiang clan members before it was finally subdued. That bone-piercing winter spider was a sky demon. Now, the bone-piercing winter spider that appeared not far from Kang Shinmu was clearly a sky demon. Otherwise, its body would not be so large. It was like a small mountain, with a height of more than 100 feet. Each of its ice crystal spider legs was at least 300 to 400 feet long. It was unknown how it had suddenly appeared here. Even a heavenly dragon inheritor would appear tiny in front of the bone-piercing winter spider, much less a mortal dragon warrior like Kang Shinmu. At this moment, Kang Shinmu could completely understand why Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyu were fleeing for their lives. They had encountered such a terrifying fey beast. The clear ripple water dragon was caught by the frost spider's silk, and it immediately crushed the burning explosion scroll. Its reaction speed was considered fast. From the looks of it, Jiang Qiyu's other subordinate didn't have the time to crush the burning explosion scroll before he was killed by the bone-piercing winter spider. This terrifying demonic beast seemed to have suddenly descended, not giving that fellow any time to react. It was also because of the kid's sacrifice that Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyu were able to buy time to escape. The 5 experts from the Jiang clan flew from all directions in the form of dragons, flying towards the bone-piercing winter spider. Even though they saw the huge body of the bone-piercing winter spider, they did not retreat. No matter what, they had to save the Jiang clan's genius juniors in danger. At this moment, the bone-piercing winter spider was not considered a strong existence. With the 5 of them working together, they should be able to hold it back for a while, allowing the juniors to escape first. 4,000 more experts as reinforcements. Such a good show could not be missed. Kang Shinmu did not hesitate and continued forward. Since the Jiang clan's experts had arrived, the bone-piercing winter spider would not focus on Kang Shinmu. Also, if Kang Shinmu continued to hide in the dense forest, it would not be easy for him to be discovered. There were many people who had the same thoughts as Kang Shinmu, but most of them valued their own lives. Even if there was the slightest danger, they were unwilling to move forward. Not to mention, the bone-piercing winter spider was so strong that it had reached the level of a sky fae. Against the dragon warriors participating in the demon-slaying training, it was an existence that could instantly kill them. As for Kang Shinmu, it was not because he wanted to freeload, but purely because he wanted to see a battle between experts. The key was the dragon techniques. Now, there were 5 experts from the Jiang clan on the field. If they were to fight the bone-piercing winter spider, they would definitely use a lot of dragon martial skills. From this, they would definitely be able to tell which dragon martial skills were stronger and which were weaker. This would be crucial to Jiang Shenwu's decision in the near future. The battle experience of experts was extremely important to the younger generation. Many times, watching a battle between experts could help one avoid many detours. Not to mention, the battle with the bone-piercing winter spider was definitely going to be an unparalleled battle. Kang Shinmu quietly approached. When he was within 10 miles of the bone-piercing winter spider, he did not dare to move forward. This was because he could see that not far in front of him, there was a deep pit in the ground. The deep pit had long been covered in ice, and from within the ice pit, there were small bone-piercing winter spiders crawling out. This was a bone-piercing winter spider's lair. Looking at the location, the deep pit happened to be where Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyu had met up and fought the mad human beast and the other earth fae. Could it be that because of their battle, this sky demon bone-piercing winter spider was lured out? Who would have thought that a bone-piercing winter spider would appear so close to the depths of the heavenly dry forest? In short, this bone-piercing winter spider had to be killed. If not, the Jiang clan's demon-slaying training would be cancelled early. Otherwise, countless Jiang clan dragon warriors would die at the hands of this bone-piercing winter spider. Kang Shinmu did not dare to move forward, mainly because he saw 2 small bone-piercing winter spiders crawling out from the edge of the deep pit. Even the small bone-piercing winter spiders were 10 feet tall, and each frost spider's legs were more than 20 feet long. They looked even more frightening than the black dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into. Most importantly, these small bone-piercing winter spiders were at least at the 5th layer of the earth fae level. The current Kang Shinmu was no match for them. Therefore, he did not dare to go any closer. He could only find a huge tree and climb up. Hiding in the dense foliage, he should not be discovered by the bone-piercing winter spiders. Chapter 38-24. In front of them, the huge bone-piercing winter spider was already fighting with the 5 Jiang clan reinforcements. These 5 reinforcements had all surpassed the Dragon Ascension realm. They had reached the higher realm of the God Martial realm. The God Martial realm was on the same level as the Sky Fae. However, it was clear that the bone-piercing winter spider had already reached the peak of Sky Fae. It was just a step away from becoming the king of Sky Fae in the entire sky-driving forest. And these God Martial realm Jiang clan reinforcements were only at the middle stage of the God Martial realm. To fight against the bone-piercing winter spider, even if they joined forces, they would still be under pressure. The crux of the matter was that these 5 people were only inheritors of the mortal dragon blood essence. After all, if they were inheritors of the true dragon, once they reached the divine martial realm, they would be considered existences with a certain status in the Jiang tribal clan. It was impossible for them to be the rescuers for the demon-slaying training. 5 mortal dragon inheritors fighting against a bone-piercing winter spider that was close to the peak of Sky Fae, the pressure they faced could be imagined. This was equivalent to Jiang Haixing's group of 5 from the Grand Supreme Palace fighting against the 4th layer Earth Fae. It was extremely difficult. Even if they won in the end, they would still be seriously injured. Not to mention, there were countless small bone-piercing winter spiders crawling out from the deep ice pit. Although these bone-piercing winter spiders could not fly, they could weave webs with frost spider silk, creating an inescapable net in the sky. Furthermore, many of the smaller bone-piercing winter spiders were able to shoot frost spider silk into the air, interfering with the actions of the 5 rescuing experts. In short, this battle was quite difficult for the dragon warriors. They could only temporarily stall the bone-piercing winter spider and wait for the other Jiang clan experts to arrive. Unfortunately, those 2 are already dead. The moment the 5 reinforcements arrived, 4 of them unleashed a powerful dragon martial skill against the bone-piercing winter spider. Another one went down to check on the clear ripple water dragon. Another one was a junior dragon warrior who had just transformed into a dragon. Unfortunately, the 2 divine dragons had already lost their breath, completely dead under the frost spider silk. Under the attack of a peak heavenly demon bone-piercing winter spider, a dragon warrior who had just transformed into a dragon was simply not a match. As long as they were entangled by the spider silk, the power of the cold ice would instantly freeze their bodies, turning their organs into ice cubes. In this way, it would be impossible for them to survive. Kang Shinmu hid in the dense forest at the side and climbed up to the top of a huge tree. As expected, he wasn't discovered by the 2 small bone-piercing winter spiders. He couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. He raised his head and looked at the battle in the distant sky. He could see the bodies of 5 ordinary dragons, each 200 feet long, moving around the bone-piercing winter spider. They were constantly releasing terrifying and tyrannical dragon martial skills to attack it. Although they only had the bodies of mortal dragons, because these 5 experts had stepped into the divine martial arts realm from the dragon ascension realm, their mortal dragons' bodies had also increased to 60 feet in length. If it was a true dragon inheritor, when they stepped into the divine martial arts realm from the dragon ascension realm, their body length would also double to about 60 feet. Like Kang Shinmu, who was still in the mortal dragon stage and had reached the first layer of the dragon ascension realm, this kind of situation was simply impossible. Kang Shinmu was very clear that there was something strange about his black dragon inheritance, but as for what exactly was strange, he couldn't figure it out. Dragon martial skill, Thunder Fury. In the distant sky, a thunder dragon let out an angry roar. Suddenly, it summoned countless thick pillars of lightning from the clouds high up in the sky. The pillars of lightning crashed down on the bone-piercing winter spider. The power of each pillar of lightning was 10 times stronger than the one Jiang Cheng had used against Jiang Xinwu. This was the difference between the Dragon Ascension realm and the Divine Martial Arts realm, and also the difference between practicing and not practicing dragon martial skills. It was unknown what level of dragon martial skill this Thunderbolt Fury was. However, if Jiang Cheng had practiced it back then, he would not have needed to spend so much effort to deal with Jiang Xinwu. With just 1 Thunderbolt Fury, even 3 Jiang Shenwus would have died by his hands. However, it was a pity that a dragon martial skill like Thunder Fury had a specific attribute. Only a dragon martial artist with the corresponding attribute could practice it. For example, a black dragon inheritor like Kang Shinmu couldn't practice this kind of dragon martial skill, because he didn't have the power of thunder. This made Kang Shinmu quite puzzled, but there was nothing he could do about it. During the Yen Dragon ritual, what kind of divine dragon essence and blood inheritance one could obtain was completely not up to him. Especially Kang Shinmu, this black dragon essence and blood inheritance seemed to have taken the initiative to find him, and it seemed to be related to his father, Jiang Zizai. Thinking of this, Kang Shinmu clenched his fists. However, although the Thunder Fury dragon martial skill was incomparably tyrannical, it still didn't have any effect on the bone-piercing winter spider. The bone-piercing winter spider didn't even look at it, and directly spat out a mouthful of ice spider silk, which formed an ice spider web above its head. The lightning pillars that filled the sky descended from the sky and landed on the ice spider web. However, they were all blocked. Moreover, the ice aura attached to the ice spiderweb even froze the lightning pillars, forming a rare spectacle. The bone-piercing winter spider lifted its frost spider leg and swept across, directly sweeping away the 300 feet long thunder dragon. The thunder dragon crashed into the dense forest in the distance, knocking down countless giant trees. Rocks and dirt flew everywhere, and dust flew everywhere. Just the bone-piercing winter spider's ice crystal spider legs alone, each 300 to 400 feet long, could easily sweep away the body of a divine dragon. Dragon martial skill, Fiery Dragon Body. The other fire divine dragon, at this moment, was wrapped in raging flames. Like a meteorite, it fell from the sky and directly fell towards the bone-piercing winter spider. The extremely high temperature almost melted the sky. Kang Shinmu looked over and saw that the sky was distorted. It was an illusion caused by the extremely high temperature. The fiery dragon body was a dragon martial skill suitable for fire attribute martial artists to practice. Logically, fire could restrain ice, but when the difference in strength was too great, the so-called restraint was useless. Chapter 38-25. Kang Shinmu watched from afar as the 5 Jiang clan reinforcements battled with the huge bone-piercing winter spider. All sorts of dragon martial techniques emerged one after another, but they were unable to do anything to the bone-piercing winter spider. The key was that the 5 people's cultivation levels were too low. If each of them could increase their cultivation by 1 or 2 levels, the battle would undoubtedly become much simpler. As the battle went on for a period of time, many of the smaller bone-piercing winter spiders below also joined in the battle. There was a constant stream of bone-piercing winter spiders flying towards the sky from below. The 5 mystical dragons who were fighting released frost spider webs, harassing them in their battle, causing the 5 of them to suffer unspeakably. Kang Shinmu watched from afar and quickly estimated that other than the huge bone-piercing winter spider, there were at least 100 smaller bone-piercing winter spiders crawling out of the ice pit. And every single one of them was a 5th or 6th layer existence. With so many small bone-piercing winter spiders, if I were to kill them all and take their monster cores, then there would be no suspense in this demon-slaying training. What a pity, a 5th or 6th layer earth demon is not something I can deal with. Kang Shinmu felt a deep sense of pity. If such an opportunity had been given to Jiang Liuxue, the inheritor of the Sky Dragon's blood essence, she would definitely have taken the opportunity to hunt down many of the smaller bone-piercing winter spiders. In this way, the gap between the Grand Supreme Palace and the Northern Palace would widen. Without a doubt, if Kang Shinmu were to fight against these small bone-piercing winter spiders, even if there was only one of them, as long as they hit Kang Shinmu with their frost spider silk, Kang Shinmu would have no chance of survival. However, when he saw a 4th layer piercing cold spider slowly crawl out of the ice pit, an idea suddenly popped up in his mind. This idea was extremely dangerous, but the opportunity within it was something that Kang Shinmu had no way of rejecting. The power of devouring. As long as I devour a 4th layer earth demon level bone-piercing winter spider, for a period of time, my resistance to the power of ice will increase. Under these circumstances, I might be able to deal with a 5th layer earth demon level bone-piercing winter spider. Then, his resistance to the power of ice will become even stronger. As soon as Kang Shinmu thought of this, he couldn't help but feel excited and his heart beat faster. He was very clear that this was extremely dangerous. Moreover, if he were to devour a level 4 earth demon bone-piercing winter spider, it would still be very difficult for his resistance against the power of ice to reach the level of a level 5 earth demon bone-piercing winter spider. But he was sure that if he could devour 3 or more 4th layer bone-piercing cold spider earth demons, his body's resistance to the power of ice would definitely be enough to fight against a 5th layer bone-piercing cold spider earth demon. Most importantly, he needed to devour 3 4th layer earth demons in a short period of time. This was no joke. If there was a 3rd layer bone-piercing cold spider earth demon, then he could start from the 3rd layer. But without a doubt, the weakest bone-piercing cold spider that Kang Shinmu had seen so far was also at the 4th layer. And the most difficult thing was that he hadn't seen a single one at all. This made it almost impossible for him to do anything. Even though he had seen many 4th layer earth demons, but if 2 4th layer bone-piercing cold spiders were to come together, then it was definitely not something that he could deal with. He was very clear on this point. That's right, the clear ripple water dragon. Kang Shinmu suddenly thought of this, and suddenly looked towards one of the legs of the huge bone-piercing cold spider. Sure enough, under that leg, there was the corpse of the clear ripple water dragon. Most of it had already been devoured by the bone-piercing cold spider, leaving behind only some internal organs and dragon bones. But, even if it was just a divine dragon's corpse, it was still extremely useful to Kang Shinmu, especially the dragon bones. Now that the clear ripple water dragon had been devoured, with only the dragon bones left, there were no other bone-piercing cold spiders nearby. If Kang Shinmu stealthily rushed over, he might be able to devour all the dragon bones. Devouring the dragon bones could gradually increase the quality of the black dragon's blood that Kang Shinmu had inherited. Even though it was only a quantitative change before it reached the true dragon level, and the increase in strength would not be very obvious, this was an opportunity that was extremely precious to Kang Shinmu. Because, how could it be so easy to devour the divine dragon bones normally? Under such circumstances, he had such an opportunity, and as long as he did it covertly, there would be no suspicion. After all, the clear ripple water dragon was devoured by the bone-piercing cold spiders, so no one would suspect Kang Shinmu. Jiang Xinyu, Jiang Luo, and Jiang Cheng were different. The disappearance of these three would definitely attract the attention of people who would investigate. This was a rare opportunity, and Kang Shinmu did not want to miss it. And the idea that he had just come up with could also be implemented after devouring the dragon bones. In the battlefield, there was not only the dragon bones of the clear ripple water dragon. Logically speaking, there should also be the corpse of Jiang Qiue's subordinate. It was just that Kang Shinmu had not found it yet. If he devoured both dragon bones, Kang Shinmu's devouring power would be at least 20% to 30% stronger than before. This way, he would be more confident in using it to deal with the bone-piercing cold spiders. Kang Shinmu had never been a procrastinator, or else he would not have been able to step into the Dragon Ascension realm at such a young age. However, the difficulty lay in the fact that from where Kang Shinmu was now to where the corpse of the clear ripple water dragon was located, there was still a distance of at least 20 miles. In this distance, there were at least 2 or 3 groups of small bone-piercing cold spiders constantly patrolling. From time to time, they would release frost spider silk into the air to harass the 5 divine martial realm dragon warriors. Kang Shinmu had to avoid the eyes and ears of these small bone-piercing cold spiders in order to reach the corpse of the clear ripple water dragon. If I am careful, I should not be discovered. If I walk on the tree, I can hide in the dense foliage. Kang Shinmu thought to himself, and then immediately began to move. Taking advantage of the time when the small bone-piercing cold spiders did not notice him, he immediately jumped from the giant tree he was hiding in to another giant tree. His figure flashed in the air, and only the sound of his body rubbing against the leaves could be heard. Such a sound was not rare in the sky-dry forest. Even a gust of wind could produce such a sound. Therefore, Kang Shinmu did not attract the attention of those small bone-piercing cold spiders. This allowed Kang Shinmu to finally breathe a sigh of relief. After jumping once, there was no trace of the small bone-piercing cold spiders in front of him. He jumped over several giant trees in succession, and this closed the distance between him and the corpse of the clear ripple water dragon. Chapter 38-26. Kang Shinmu tiptoed towards the corpse of the clear wave water dragon. In front of him, the giant bone-piercing winter spider and the 5 Jiang clan experts were engaged in an intense battle. Ice power, lightning power, flame power. All sorts of powers were constantly exploding in the air, as if the entire forest was going to be razed to the ground. Giant trees were constantly being struck by all sorts of powers, either falling to the ground or being directly destroyed, turning into dust. Kang Shinmu carefully advanced, constantly avoiding the small bone-piercing winter spiders that appeared along the way. Once there was a possibility of being discovered, he would immediately stop. Even if it was a waste of time, he had to ensure his own safety. This was because he didn't know what these bone-piercing winter spiders relied on to communicate. If he were to alarm one of them, it would attract all of the surrounding bone-piercing winter spiders, and even attract the attention of the giant bone-piercing winter spiders. That would be too unlucky. As the sky gradually darkened, Kang Shinmu was getting closer and closer to the clear wave water dragon. There's still about 70 to 80 miles from the agreed-upon place with Jiang Yuaning. But from that place, I can feel the battle here. I don't know if Jiang Yuaning will wait for me there, or will she come alone? Jiang Shenwu was a little uncertain in his heart. He hoped that Jiang Yuaning would be waiting for him at the agreed location, but on second thought, now that the giant bone-piercing winter spiders had appeared, there were also many smaller spiders scattered throughout the forest. If he wanted to go out to hunt demon beasts at night, the difficulty would greatly increase. So, should he continue with the operation at night? Kang Xinmu wasn't very sure, but no matter what, he couldn't stop his operation. He had to devour the bones of the clear wave water dragon. This was an extremely rare opportunity that he couldn't miss. Under the dusk of the setting sun, he constantly approached the skeleton of the clear wave water dragon. Because the skeleton had already been completely devoured, leaving only the bones behind, the nearby bone-piercing winter spiders no longer had any interest in it. They were all separately searching for other food. It was obvious that some of the earth demons and demonic beasts in this area would suffer a calamity. One had to know that among the demonic beasts in this area, the strongest were usually only at the fourth layer of the earth demon realm. But now, every single one of the bone-piercing winter spiders that appeared from the icy crater was at least at this level. Most of them were at the 5th layer or even the 6th layer, and there were even some at the 7th or 8th layer. However, the fact that those earth demons were killed by the bone-piercing winter spiders had nothing to do with Kang Xinmu. It was impossible for him to benefit from it, because the earth demon's demon core was also a great tonic for the bone-piercing winter spiders. After killing those earth demons, the bone-piercing winter spiders wouldn't leave behind anything useful. At most, they would leave behind a pile of bones like the clear wave water dragon. Kang Xinmu could devour the bones of a divine dragon to raise the grade of his inherited blood essence. But for the bones of an earth demon, even if Kang Xinmu completely devoured them, it wouldn't be of much use. At most, it would help him recover some of his strength. Kang Xinmu didn't think too much about it. He maintained 120% vigilance and finally arrived near the clear wave water dragon's bones before the sun completely set. Moreover, he also found the bones of another divine dragon. The clear wave water dragon was Jiang Qinyan's lackey, and the other divine dragon skeleton was Jiang Qiue's lackey. Both of them had a lackey that had been killed by a giant bone-piercing winter spider and eaten by a large number of smaller bone-piercing winter spiders. This made Kang Xinmu think of another subordinate of Jiang Qinyan. That was the emerald rock dragon that was similar in strength to the clear wave water dragon. Previously, it was chased by a large group of backstab boars and was taken advantage of by Kang Xinmu. This emerald rock dragon was on its last breath and should be in the dense forest tens of kilometers away. I wonder what happened to that fellow. If it's not dead, it should have escaped. If it's dead, it should have left behind some of its bones. Kang Xinmu thought to himself as he quietly dragged the clear wave water dragon's bones to an extremely dense shrub. He carefully gathered his devouring power and covered the dragon's bones. The devouring power continuously devoured the energy contained within the dragon's bones, causing the black dragon's inherited blood essence in Kang Xinmu's body to gradually boil. Under the devouring power, his original grade of a mortal dragon rose again. At the same time, Kang Xinmu was constantly paying attention to his surroundings. Even the slightest movement would attract his attention. If it wasn't for the fact that the clear wave water dragon's bones were too big, he would have dragged it into the dense forest to devour it. That way, it would be much safer. Unfortunately, the skeleton was too big. If he wanted to drag it up the tree, it would definitely attract the attention of the nearby bone-piercing winter spiders. Take it slow. Kang Xinmu was not in a hurry. Even though the sky was gradually darkening, he was not worried. After all, his battle strength would not decrease at night, and he did not need to rest. At most, his visibility would decrease during the night, but in the dense forest, the decrease in visibility was not much. After all, he could not see too far away. As Kang Xinmu continued to devour, the clear wave water dragon's bones became smaller and smaller. All of it became part of Kang Xinmu's energy, causing the grade of his inherited blood essence to constantly increase. In the dense forest near Jiangshanwu, there were constantly small bone-piercing winter spiders walking back and forth, searching for anything edible in the dense forest. All living things would be swallowed into the stomachs of these bone-piercing winter spiders, becoming food in their bellies. And in the sky, as the sky gradually darkened, 2 divine dragon experts finally arrived. They were both powerful existences of the Jiang clan. These 2 divine dragons were both 600 feet long. They were also existences of the divine martial realm, but they were true dragon martial artists. The true dragon blood essence they had obtained was a true dragon-level divine dragon. The strength of these 2 dragon warriors was clearly stronger than the previous 5 added together. When these 2 people appeared, there was no longer any suspense in the battle. Even the strong bone-piercing winter spider was not a match for these 2 people. Unfortunately, as the sky darkened, Kang Shinmu could only hear the sounds of the fierce battle in the sky, but he could not see how they fought. Chapter 38-27. The bones of the clear wave water dragon disappeared without a trace, but it did not attract the attention of the bone-piercing winter spiders. That was because, following the arrival of the 2 true dragon descendants, the surrounding small bone-piercing winter spiders also joined the battle. Originally, they were still looking for food, but now, they were completely immersed in the battle. The giant bone-piercing winter spiders might have exhausted the strength of the original 5 mortal dragon descendants after such a long battle, but the 2 true dragon descendants were extremely powerful. With just the 2 of them, they were able to completely suppress the giant bone-piercing winter spiders. Under such circumstances, the small bone-piercing winter spiders could only help, and Kang Shinmu had more opportunities. He followed the location of the other divine dragon skeleton according to his memory and continued to move forward in the dark. Soon, he reached the vicinity of the other divine dragon skeleton and dragged it into the dense forest to start devouring it. The devouring power condensed and enveloped the entire divine dragon skeleton. In the process of continuously devouring, Jiang Shenwu listened to the intense battle taking place in the sky not far away. He felt a little fascinated. Although he couldn't see the scene, he could imagine how soul-stirring it would be when experts of such caliber fought each other. However, all of this had nothing to do with him now. After all, the battle between powerhouses would not affect him. In this hidden forest, he silently devoured the dragon bones of the divine dragon and raised the grade of his inherited essence blood. Now, the only thing he was worried about was what Jiang Yuaning would do. After all, it was already night time. After I finish absorbing the dragon skeleton, I'll go back and look for Jiang Yuaning. Otherwise, I'm really worried that something might have happened to her. Kang Shinmu thought to himself as he absorbed the dragon skeleton at an even faster speed. After about half an hour, the dragon skeleton was finally completely absorbed by him. His devouring power once again increased by about 10%. Although the current Kang Shinmu was still a dragon descendant of the mortal dragon, he did not feel too much pressure even when fighting against a 4th-layer earth demon. After absorbing the 2 dragons' bones, the power of Kang Shinmu's devouring power had increased, and his devouring efficiency had increased. Fighting against powerful existences would be more stable. His chances of killing these bone-piercing winter spiders had increased. However, Kang Shinmu was a little worried about Jiang Yuaning. With Jiang Yuaning's help, dealing with these small bone-piercing winter spiders would be more efficient and safer. It was better to go back and meet up with her. Following that, Kang Shinmu continued to jump from the thicket, rushing towards the periphery of the Sky Herald Forest. He was still more than 20 miles away from the place where he and Jiang Yuaning had agreed to meet. At this time, an ice spider silk suddenly shot toward him from nearby, and the sudden sound of the wind alerted him. The bone-piercing winter spiders have actually reached this location. Jiang Shenwu was a little surprised because this place was already very far away from the giant bone-piercing winter spider. Logically speaking, shouldn't those small bone-piercing winter spiders be surrounding the giant bone-piercing winter spider and helping it fight against the 2 true dragon inheritance dragon martial artists? However, the fact that there was a spider's silk shooting over was a fact. Kang Shinmu did not dare to hesitate and immediately rolled on the ground, narrowly avoiding the opponent's sneak attack. However, the frost power contained in the spider's silk still caused his cheeks to hurt. Bits of ice appeared on his cheeks, causing his entire body to involuntarily tremble. This bone-piercing winter spider should be a fifth-layer earth demon? Kang Shinmu thought to himself. The difference between a fourth-layer earth demon and a fifth-layer earth demon was simply too great. Under the current circumstances, it was impossible for Kang Shinmu to fight against it. Most importantly, the opponent's numbers were uncertain. Perhaps there was only one, but it was more likely that there were two bone-piercing winter spiders moving at the same time. This caused Kang Shinmu to not dare to turn his head back. He ran as fast as he could into the distance. The sound of the frost spider's silk piercing through the air once again came from behind him. Kang Shinmu dodged behind a huge tree, then jumped and rolled. The frost spider's silk instantly pierced through the huge tree, then passed under Kang Shinmu's feet, and shot towards another huge tree in front of him, knocking it down with a loud rumble. The frost power condensed into ice flowers along the way, and the sound of rustling constantly came from behind Kang Shinmu. The bone-piercing winter spider had actually locked onto Kang Shinmu and was constantly chasing after him. This thing, why is it so thirsty? Kang Shinmu was somewhat puzzled. However, he was still able to pass through the dense forest and escape. Right now, the sky was not completely dark, and there was still a trace of dim light that allowed him to roughly see the terrain in front of him. However, if he waited for a while longer, it might not be certain. Kang Shinmu and the bone-piercing winter spider, one in front and one behind, quickly chased after each other. Very quickly, two frost spider silks shot over. Kang Shinmu only felt a burst of cold air coming from his left and right, causing his entire body to shiver. It actually shot out two spider silks at the same time. He had no place to dodge, so he could only use all his strength to leap into the sky. However, this way, he had no foothold in the air, making it even more dangerous. As expected, the bone-piercing winter spider wanted this effect. When Kang Shinmu jumped, the bone-piercing winter spider shot out another spider silk directly towards his location. In this state, there was no way for Kang Shinmu to dodge. Pooh! The frost spider silk shot directly into Kang Shinmu's thigh, directly piercing through his thigh. Kang Shinmu is big? 4,000. Fresh blood spurted out, but he gritted his teeth and did not stop. He only took out a first-layer Earth Demon's monster core from his bosom and directly covered it with his devouring power. That frost spider's silk pierced through Kang Shinmu's thigh. Very quickly, the power of ice spread from his thigh to his entire body, almost completely freezing his entire body. However, after Kang Shinmu devoured the power of Earth from the Earth Demon's monster core, the condition of his entire body was slightly alleviated. At the same time, he also condensed his devouring power at the wound on his thigh and began to devour the power of the frost spider silk. Gradually, Kang Shinmu's resistance towards the power of ice began to increase. However, at this time, the tyrannical bone-piercing winter spider had already quickly caught up. As long as its ice crystal spider legs stabbed towards Kang Shinmu, he would not be able to dodge. Because his entire body was ice cold, any movement would be extremely stiff. Don't tell me I have to wait for the bone-piercing winter spider to rush over and engage in a melee with it. Chapter 38-28. Just as Kang Shinmu was about to engage in a melee, a ray of light suddenly appeared from the side. The power of the moon instantly spilled out from the darkness, condensing into rays of saber light that rushed towards the bone-piercing winter spider that was chasing after Kang Shinmu. First, the saber light of the moon power instantly cut off the frost spider silk on Kang Shinmu's thigh, allowing him to recover some of his mobility. This made Kang Shinmu happy. Jiang Yuaning had come. Fortunately, this place was not far from the place where Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had agreed to meet. Perhaps Jiang Yuaning had sensed that something was wrong here, so she ran over to help. It was also possible that she just happened to be on her way to the giant bone-piercing winter spider and happened to run into Kang Shinmu's matter. In any case, the two finally met up before nightfall. In the Sky Drive forest, there was no need to mention the danger of being alone. Not to mention that the entire forest was now the territory of the bone-piercing winter spider, so it was even more dangerous to run around recklessly. Kang Shinmu, how are you? Jiang Yuaning's concerned voice came from the darkness. 4,000 at the same time, a continuous stream of saber light of the moon power condensed from all directions in the darkness and shot towards the bone-piercing winter spider. It was obvious that Jiang Yuaning was moving quickly. She didn't want the bone-piercing winter spider to discover her position. Otherwise, a strand of frost spider silk might injure Jiang Yuaning, and that would be tragic. No problem, let's work together to kill this thing. Kang Shinmu replied softly. This thing has been chasing me for quite a distance. I can confirm that this is the one behind us. That's good. Jiang Yuaning's dignified voice came, followed by a dragon's roar. It directly transformed into a moonlight star dragon and began to fly into the air, hiding in the middle of the lush branches and leaves of the giant tree. As it soared, the moonlight saber light constantly fell from all directions, sweeping towards the bone-piercing winter spider. The bone-piercing winter spider's agility was displayed at this moment. It practically didn't need to deliberately dodge. Its extremely long ice crystal spider legs only needed to casually move, and it was able to nimbly traverse through the dense forest, dodging all the moonlight blade lights. The bone-piercing winter spider looked fragile, but its extremely flexible characteristics, coupled with the extreme cold power all over its body, could easily subdue its opponent. Not to mention, whether it was Kang Shinmu or Jiang Yuaning, they were only dragon martial artists of the first layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. Even if Jiang Yuaning had awakened the inheritance of the true dragon blood, compared to the fifth layer of the Earth Demon realm, she was still a notch weaker. At this time, Kang Shinmu relaxed. The frost spider silk left in his thigh gradually softened and was completely swallowed by him, becoming his own strength, and giving him a trace of resistance to the cold power. This resistance, of course, was not enough for him to fight against the fifth layer of the Earth Demon realm, but he was not in a hurry. Jiang Yuaning constantly launched attacks at the bone-piercing winter spider, forcing it to constantly change its position in the dense forest, while Kang Shinmu constantly followed, constantly swallowing the remaining cold power, and constantly improving his resistance to the cold power. Although this kind of improvement was negligible, it could save his life at a critical moment. The key was that in the current situation, if he wanted to break through, this was the only way. And what made Kang Shinmu excited was that very soon, the bone-piercing winter spider finally began to counterattack Jiang Yuaning. Even though the bone-piercing winter spider couldn't figure out where Jiang Yuaning was, it began to constantly shoot frost spider silk, dodging the moonlight saber light and trying to counterattack Jiang Yuaning at the same time. The frost spider silk contained the extreme cold power, which was much stronger than the extreme cold power in the path it was dodging. Kang Shinmu did not stand on ceremony and directly swallowed the frost spider silk, which reflected the weak light, to increase his resistance to the cold power. Jiang Yuaning saw Kang Shinmu's actions. She knew that as long as she continued to delay, when Kang Shinmu's resistance to the cold power reached a certain level, it would be time for them to counterattack. At that time, this fifth layer Earth Demon realm bone-piercing winter spider would be a piece of cake. However, the two's plan could be said to be too perfect. Everything they calculated was built on the premise that there were no accidents, and in this kind of sky-drive forest at night, there was never a lack of accidents. Right when the situation seemed to have stabilized, an unexpected event occurred. From another direction, a few strands of spider silk suddenly sprayed towards Jiang Shinwu, and before he could even react, they had completely pierced through his arms and chest. The other bone-piercing winter spider had rushed over. This accident could be said to have caught Kang Shinmu unprepared. His whole body was pierced by 4 frost spider silk, the extreme cold power instantly corroding his body. Fortunately, he now had some resistance to the cold, so he was able to maintain his mobility. Fortunately, it's a 4th layer Earth Demon realm bone-piercing winter spider. This discovery could be said to be a blessing in a misfortune. Moreover, Kang Shinmu had an idea. Although he could not deal with the 5th layer Earth Demon realm bone-piercing winter spider, he could first deal with the 4th layer Earth Demon realm bone-piercing winter spider, using this beast as a springboard to increase his resistance to the cold power for a short period of time. Anyway, right now, Kang Shinmu had already met up with Jiang Yuaning, and Jiang Yuaning, was completely capable of holding off the 5th layer Earth Demon Realm bone-piercing winter spider. There was no need for Kang Shinmu to say anything. When Kang Shinmu turned around and rushed towards the 4th layer Earth Demon Realm bone-piercing winter spider, Jiang Yuning already knew his plan, so now, she only needed to help Kang Shinmu block the 5th layer Earth Demon Realm bone-piercing winter spider. The 4th layer Earth Demon Realm bone-piercing winter spider completely did not expect Kang Shinmu to dare to attack it, and immediately felt a sense of excitement. Countless frost spider silk continuously condensed, shooting towards Kang Shinmu. In the blink of an eye, Kang Shinmu directly transformed into a dragon. His black dragon body suddenly rumbled, and instantly dodged the frost spider silk shooting towards him. Immediately after, the black dragon flew, leapt, and swung its tail, directly descending on the head of the 4th layer Earth Demon Realm bone-piercing winter spider, the dragon claws firmly grasping the bone-piercing winter spider, the devouring power condensed on the dragon claws, determined not to let go no matter what. Chapter 38-29. The 4th layer bone-piercing winter spider did not expect Kang Shinmu's speed to suddenly become so fast. In the blink of an eye, Kang Shinmu had descended on its body. When its body was pierced by Kang Shinmu's dragon claws, it let out a sharp hissing sound, and the power of extreme cold instantly erupted from its body. Bone-piercing winter spiders were monsters that were extremely afraid of close combat, because compared to other monsters, their bodies were much weaker. Therefore, it instantly wanted to break free from Kang Shinmu's restraint. Unfortunately, how could Kang Shinmu let it do as it wished? Once his dragon claws were locked, he would not let go. His devouring power continued to devour the opponent's strength. Even though the black dragon's body was quickly frozen into an ice cube by the power of extreme cold on the bone-piercing winter spider's body, Kang Shinmu's dragon claws did not relax in the slightest. Just like that, the two of them grappled with each other. Jiang Shenwu felt an endless chill sweeping towards him from all directions. It penetrated deep into his body from the surface of the black dragon's body, causing his entire body to almost lose consciousness and sensation. However, his dragon claws were locked tightly on the bone-piercing winter spider's body. This would not change. Even if he lost consciousness, using the devouring power to devour the opponent's flesh and blood essence was already a subconscious action. There was no need for him to actively control it. On the other side, Jiang Yuning was fighting with the 5th layer Earth Demon bone-piercing winter spider. Both sides didn't get close to each other and only used their skills from a distance. Whether it was the frost spider's silk or the moonlight power blade light, they both posed a great threat to each other. Under such circumstances, if the 5th layer Earth Demon level bone-piercing winter spider wanted to help deal with Jiang Shenwu, it would inevitably have to pay the price of being injured by the saber light of the moonlight. It would definitely not be willing to do so. Under such circumstances, Kang Shinmu and the 4th layer bone-piercing winter spider were already in a one-on-one situation. As for Kang Shinmu's black dragon body, the devouring power continued to erupt. As time passed, it did not take long before the power of extreme cold on the surface of Kang Shinmu's body began to weaken. The bone-piercing winter spider struggled for a long time, but was unable to get up. Jiang Shenwu's dragon claws held it in place, and the devouring power continued to devour the blood, flesh, and life essence within its body. Gradually, the damage it could do to Jiang Shenwu became less and less, and the power of ice became weaker and weaker. Kang Shinmu's body's resistance to extreme cold continued to increase. After fighting for about a quarter of an hour, Kang Shinmu had turned from being at a complete disadvantage to being evenly matched. Under such circumstances, the scales of victory were already tilting towards Kang Shinmu's side. If not for the fact that Kang Shinmu had just devoured some frost spider silk from the 5th layer bone-piercing winter spider and gained some resistance to extreme cold, he would most likely have been killed by the 4th layer bone-piercing winter spider. However, now, the opponent had completely lost the opportunity to kill Kang Shinmu. Following the eruption of Jiang Shenwu's devouring power once again, Jiang Shenwu's body's resistance to the power of extreme cold once again rose to another level. A mere fourth-layer bone-piercing cold spider earth demon could no longer harm his body as a black dragon. Good job. From afar, Jiang Yuaning could feel the changes in the aura of the two combatants. Kang Shinmu had gone from weak to strong, while the fourth-layer bone-piercing winter spider had gone from strong to weak. She heaved a sigh of relief. From the looks of it, the situation on the battlefield had stabilized. If no other bone-piercing winter spiders joined the battle, the outcome of the battle would have been decided, and the outcome would naturally be Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning's side winning. In this way, they could join forces to hunt down the smaller bone-piercing winter spiders and obtain more earth demon cores. In the next moment, Kang Shinmu had almost devoured the fourth-layer bone-piercing winter spider. The entire bone-piercing winter spider was on the verge of death. With a swing of his dragon tail, Kang Shinmu smashed the extremely weak bone-piercing winter spider to death. At the same time, the black dragon soared into the sky, his entire body covered in a layer of ice. Occasionally, the moonlight that shone through the shade of the trees flickered with a dazzling radiance. The fifth-layer bone-piercing winter spider did not expect that its own kind would be killed by a mere ordinary dragon martial artist. Moreover, it was only a first-layer Dragon Ascension Realm martial artist who did not even know any dragon martial techniques. This actually caused a kind of fear to arise in its heart. Seeing the fourth-layer bone-piercing winter spider being smashed by Kang Shinmu's dragon tail, the fifth-layer bone-piercing winter spider actually had the thought of retreating. However, when the bone-piercing winter spider wanted to retreat, the moonlight saber light surged in from all directions, leaving it with no chance to escape. The black dragon descended from the sky, and under the cover of the moonlight saber light, it easily approached the bone-piercing winter spider. Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning launched a pincer attack on the fifth-layer bone-piercing winter spider, leaving it with nowhere to escape. Ice spider silk was constantly released, surging towards the black dragon's location. Unfortunately, Kang Shinmu had an extremely strong resistance to the power of extreme cold. Even this fifth-layer bone-piercing winter spider was unable to cause too much of an effect on Kang Shinmu. The power of extreme cold was able to completely freeze the blood of a dragon martial artist, making it impossible to circulate. Especially the power of extreme cold in the bone-piercing winter spider's body, it also contained a special kind of cold poison. Just resisting the cold was far from enough. Unfortunately, Kang Shinmu's devouring power was completely tailored to the problem. Whatever power he devoured, what could he resist? 4,000 watt power. Whether it was the pure cold or the cold poison in the bone-piercing winter spider's body, they were unable to cause too much of an effect on Kang Shinmu. Of course, if this continued, only death awaited Kang Shinmu. After all, his opponent was a fifth-layer bone-piercing winter spider. Therefore, Kang Shinmu had to control the fifth-layer bone-piercing winter spider before he could not hold on any longer, and then devour its flesh and blood essence. This way, he could also increase his body's resistance to the cold and cold poison. With Jiang Yuaning's help, it was extremely easy to achieve this. The moonlight energy condensed into starlight saber light, constantly surging towards the bone-piercing winter spider from all directions, leaving only one direction for it to dodge. The bone-piercing winter spider had to either endure the moonlight saber light, or be caught by Kang Shinmu. Comparing the two, the bone-piercing winter spider chose the latter, which was to be caught by Kang Shinmu. This was because, in its view, Jiang Yuaning was a true dragon inheritor, and the moonlight saber light definitely could not be forcefully endured. But Kang Shinmu was only a dragon martial artist with the inheritance of a mortal dragon. Chapter 38:30. The fifth-layer Earth Demon-level bone-piercing winter spider made the most regretful decision of its life. If it had chosen to forcefully resist the power of the moonlight and escape, it might have been able to survive. Moreover, it wouldn't have led to the deaths of more bone-piercing winter spiders. However, it chose to avoid the power of the moonlight and chose to face Jiang Shinmu head-on. Kang Shinmu's black dragon instantly collided with the bone-piercing winter spider's body. A bone-piercing cold air instantly enveloped Kang Shinmu's entire body. However, with the power of extreme cold, Kang Shinmu was not completely frozen. Instead, he extended his incomparably sharp dragon claws and pierced them directly into the body of the bone-piercing winter spider. Without any fancy movements, Kang Shinmu's devouring power began to condense, continuously devouring the bone-piercing winter spider's life, flesh, and essence, as well as the power of extreme cold within its body. Kang Shinmu continuously absorbed cold toxins into his body, but these cold toxins were unable to harm him much. Instead, they continuously increased his resistance against the power of extreme cold and the cold toxins. In the beginning, Jiang Shenwu was under a lot of pressure. The fifth layer earth demon level bone-piercing winter spider was tearing at him with all its might. Moreover, its extremely sharp ice crystal spider legs were able to pierce several large holes in the black dragon's body. However, Kang Shinmu stubbornly persevered, and firmly held back the bone-piercing winter spider. Jiang Yuaning began to harass the bone-piercing winter spider with the power of the moonlight. She was mainly trying to cut off the ice crystal spider's legs. Although the bone-piercing winter spider was struggling against the black dragon, it was undoubtedly very easy to cut off its ice crystal spider's legs. After all, if the black dragon continued to struggle with the bone-piercing winter spider, the bone-piercing winter spider's position would already be fixed. No matter how much the spider moved, it would not be able to get out of that range. Under such circumstances, the bone-piercing winter spider's legs were quickly cut off, which made the bone-piercing winter spider panic. The biggest source of panic was due to Kang Shinmu's devouring power. Under the effect of the devouring power, the bone-piercing winter spider could feel its life constantly slipping away. However, no matter how much it struggled, the bone-piercing winter spider's weak body could not break free from the black dragon's claw. 15 minutes. 30 minutes. Time passed, and soon, night fell. Occasionally, a few rays of moonlight shone through the dense forest, illuminating the bone-piercing winter spider's corpse on the ground. The black dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into had completely disappeared into the night. The moonlight star dragon followed Jiang Shenwu and rushed toward the location of the giant bone-piercing winter spider. There were no other monsters in the forest except for the bone-piercing winter spider. Now that Kang Shinmu had completely devoured the bone-piercing winter spider, his resistance to the power of extreme cold and cold poison had reached a very high level. If he encountered another bone-piercing winter spider, Kang Shinmu would not be afraid at all. Anyway, the bone-piercing winter spider's physical strength was not strong. It mainly relied on the power of extreme cold and cold poison. Now, these were the two things that Kang Shinmu was least afraid of. The two divine dragons were running in the forest, listening to the rumbling sounds of the fierce battle coming from ahead. They didn't get too close, because they knew that the battle between the giant bone-piercing winter spider and the divine martial arts realm expert was absolutely not something they could intervene in. Therefore, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning circled around the huge bone-piercing winter spider, searching for other smaller bone-piercing winter spiders. The bone-piercing winter spider's body was too big, and it was still in the middle of a fierce battle. The dense forest nearby had long been cleared, turning into a barren land covered in ice. Under the moonlight, the huge bone-piercing winter spider's body could be seen clearly. Including the two divine martial realm true dragon inheritors, their battle with the huge bone-piercing winter spider could be seen by Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning from afar. There are two bone-piercing winter spiders of the fifth realm over there. Under the moonlight, Kang Shinmu constantly observed the situation around the huge bone-piercing winter spiders. There were constantly small bone-piercing winter spiders shooting frost spider silk at the divine martial realm true dragon inheritors to harass them. As for Kang Shinmu, according to the direction and strength of the frost spider silk, he determined that there were two bone-piercing winter spiders of the fifth realm in that area. He followed Jiang Yuaning and flew in that direction. In the dense forest, the divine dragon's flight created a lot of noise. Therefore, when they approached, the two of them transformed into their human forms and quickly arrived near the two bone-piercing winter spiders of the fifth realm. The opponents were hidden in the shadows, and if it weren't for the two frost spider silk shooting into the air above the icy wasteland, it would have been impossible to discover the two little fellows. But now that they had been discovered by Kang Shinmu, their fates had already been decided. Bone-piercing winter spiders of the fifth realm did not pose much of a threat to the current Kang Shinmu. Even if two appeared in front of him and attacked him at the same time, it would be very difficult for him to receive any fatal damage. It was just that if the opponent attacked him at the same time, his movements would be greatly restricted and he might not be able to touch the opponent. After all, the bone-piercing winter spiders were extremely agile. This required Jiang Yuaning's help. The moonlight saber light was the first to condense, and immediately after, it surged towards the two bone-piercing winter spiders. With a loud rumble, it descended from mid-air, sealing off most of the movements of the two bone-piercing winter spiders. Because the two bone-piercing winter spiders did not know how powerful Kang Shinmu was, they directly rushed towards Kang Shinmu's direction. At the same time, they shot out several frost spider silk in an attempt to directly kill Kang Shinmu. Unfortunately, the current Kang Shinmu, not to mention the fifth realm bone-piercing winter spiders, even the sixth realm bone-piercing winter spiders would not be able to kill him with just a few frost spider silk. Kang Shinmu forcibly withstood the attacks of the frost spider silk. His entire body was penetrated by the frost spider silk, but the extreme cold energy and cold poison were unable to harm Kang Shinmu. He only suffered superficial wounds. If it was someone else, perhaps they would really be injured and unable to continue fighting. However, Kang Shinmu was different. Injuries, even if it was a serious injury, were already a common occurrence for him. His entire body was penetrated by the frost spider silk, but he did not even tremble. He transformed into a black dragon and directly pounced towards one of the slow-moving bone-piercing winter spiders. His sharp dragon claws directly pierced into its body. Because the moonlight saber light always gave the bone-piercing winter spiders an illusion of great lethality, they always chose to break through in the direction of Kang Shinmu. This gave Kang Shinmu the biggest opportunity. After the dragon claws grabbed onto one of the spiders, the devouring power was suddenly activated. In the darkness of the night, an endless hunt had begun. Chapter 38-31. The second night. It was the second night in the Sky Herald Forest. Most of the other young dragon warrior geniuses of the Jiang clan who had just reached the dragon ascension stage found a quiet place to rest. Only Jiang Shenwu and Jiang Yuaning, after devouring the earth demon's monster core with their devouring power and replenishing their own strength, continued to hunt demon beasts in the dense forest during the night. On the first night, they had killed many demon beasts. On the second night, their harvest would be even greater than before. Because they were facing the same type of demon beast, Kang Shinmu could constantly devour to maintain his resistance against the power of extreme cold and the cold poison. As they killed more and more bone-piercing winter spiders, his resistance became stronger and stronger. After half a night, they had killed no less than 10 bone-piercing winter spiders. Even the sixth-layer bone-piercing winter spiders were killed by Kang Shinmu. He had completely relied on his close combat skills. The bone-piercing winter spiders looked down on Kang Shinmu, so once they were caught by the dragon claws, they had no chance to escape. This kind of hunting efficiency was absolutely comparable to the speed of the heavenly dragon's successor, Jiang Liuxue. After half a night, the giant bone-piercing winter spider was finally about to be killed. The main battle was nearing its end, and the smaller bone-piercing winter spiders had given up on participating in the battle. Instead, they scattered in all directions. This gave Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning a better hunting opportunity, but the number of bone-piercing winter spiders they could kill had decreased. Of course, this didn't matter much. As long as the two heard any movement in the surroundings, they would immediately head in that direction. Apart from the bone-piercing winter spiders, there was nothing else in the vicinity that would move around at night. It was worth mentioning that now that Kang Shinmu had devoured the flesh, blood, and life essence of 10 bone-piercing winter spiders, his body was flowing with an endless power of extreme cold. This power of extreme cold, to the other bone-piercing winter spiders, had an extremely intimate aura. So before they saw Kang Shinmu, they would be suspicious to see if it was a companion. When Kang Shinmu appeared, he would be able to launch a sneak attack on him, directly control him, and then start devouring him with his devouring power. Moreover, the current Kang Shinmu could somewhat sense the whereabouts of the bone-piercing winter spiders by relying on his familiarity with the power of extreme cold. Even if the bone-piercing winter spiders had passed by an hour ago, they would leave behind a corresponding aura, allowing the current Kang Shinmu to sense them. Although the devouring power wasn't that strong in a head-on battle and didn't have the terrifying explosive and destructive power of lightning and flames, it still had its own unique function. This was what puzzled Kang Shinmu. How could something as powerful as the devouring power only exist in the mortal dragon's inherited blood essence? Could that black dragon be some sort of incredible existence? Rumor had it that the divine dragon clan controlled the entire world. There were all sorts of divine dragons in the legends, but he had never heard of a divine dragon with the devouring power. This made Kang Shinmu feel somewhat uneasy. However, no matter what he wanted to do now was to improve himself. Even if he had to rely on the devouring power, he needed to find traces of his father, Jiang Zizai, and to let his mother live a better life. He needed to become stronger. And the devouring power was the most efficient way for him to do so. With the devouring power, he and Jiang Yuaning could hunt demon beasts at night without needing to rest. Although they needed to consume the power of 2 earth demons' monster cores, what they obtained was far more than what they used. After midnight, the giant bone-piercing winter spider was finally killed. The heaven demon's monster core must have been taken by the Jiang clan's experts. Then, the Jiang clan sent out many experts to sweep the nearby area. Once they saw any small bone-piercing winter spiders, they would immediately kill them. This was to prevent the bone-piercing winter spiders from chasing the Jiang clan's dragon warriors who were in the midst of their demon-slaying training. In everyone's eyes, the 6th-layer earth demon-level bone-piercing winter spiders, other than the heavenly dragon's successor Jiang Liushua, no one else could escape from them. Because of this, the 6th-layer bone-piercing winter spiders had to be eliminated. While searching for bone-piercing winter spiders in the dense forest, many Jiang clan experts saw corpses of bone-piercing winter spiders that had lost their earth demon's monster cores. This made them puzzled. Who killed these bone-piercing winter spiders? Among the corpses, there were 5th and 6th-layer earth demon-level bone-piercing winter spiders. What could possibly be nearby that could kill them? Could it be that Jiang Liushua was hunting bone-piercing winter spiders nearby? Thinking about it, besides Jiang Liushua, there can't be anyone else. Jiang Liushua killed so many bone-piercing winter spiders. In this demon-slaying training, the Northern Prefecture will definitely take first place. Everyone speculated, but no one could have imagined that the person hunting bone-piercing winter spiders nearby was Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had also sensed that there were Jiang clan experts searching in the dense forest. Once they found traces of the Jiang clan experts, they would immediately avoid them. They were only searching for bone-piercing winter spiders to kill, and did not want to be discovered by the Jiang clan experts. Later on, the tracks of the bone-piercing winter spiders became fewer and fewer. Even the small bone-piercing winter spiders had been completely searched. At the same time, other than Jiang Shinwu and Jiang Yuaning, the Jiang clan's cleanup experts were also searching for and killing the bone-piercing winter spiders. They had to carry out a cleanup operation in the area and eliminate all the bone-piercing winter spiders before dawn. The opening of the giant bone-piercing winter spider's nest could be said to be an accident in the demon-slaying training. But for Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning, it was an excellent opportunity. On the second night, the two joined forces and killed a total of 25 bone-piercing winter spiders. The majority of the earth demon cores they obtained were 5th and 6th layer earth demon cores. In other words, they had obtained more than 100 demon-slaying training points. This result made Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning feel incredulous. In the previous demon-slaying training, if they could obtain 200 demon-slaying training points in 3 days, they would be able to take first place in the 5 prefectures. But now, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had obtained more than 200 points in 2 days and 2 nights, and were even approaching 300 points. Chapter 38-32. Genius 1 second. Remember, if you want to go. TalkNet, providing you with wonderful novels to read. Chapter 65, the final choice with nearly 300 demon-slaying points, Kang Shinmu was certain that in this demon-slaying experience, the Grand Prince's palace was either first or second. But with his character, even if he got second, he would not be satisfied. He had to get first and cultivate the best dragon technique. Only then would he have a chance of catching up to an existence like Zhang Liuxue. If not, Kang Shinmu's future path would be very difficult. The demon-slaying experience was the first step after they transformed into dragons. After the demon-slaying experience, there would be even more difficult battles waiting for them. If they did not have the best dragon technique to back them up, the battles in the future would be extremely difficult. Especially for Kang Shinmu, he would definitely have to fight against other dragon warriors in the future. In a fight, it was no longer a simple devouring power that could devour the other party. If one did not have a good enough dragon martial technique, the other party could directly kill him. Even if they were in the same realm and had the same mortal dragon inheritance, the other party could still be much stronger than him. The demon-slaying experience was another starting line that Kang Shinmu could not afford to lose. To him, obtaining the Black Dragon's inheritance and the devouring power, even though it was only the inheritance of a mortal dragon, was not too bad. The most important thing was still in the future development. With the dragon martial skill, he could devour even more powerful dragon warriors. Of course, the matter of devouring the dragon martial artists could not be rushed. Jiang Shenwu was not a person who would willfully kill innocent people. It was impossible for him to go around killing dragon martial artists in order to improve himself. Jiang Shenwu would not be able to live with such a practice. Even if he became stronger in the end, so what? The sky gradually brightened. There were no longer any bone-piercing winter spiders in the vicinity of the dense forest. Love go small say netku. Even the experts of the Jiang clan had entered the ice pit where the bone-piercing winter spiders had crawled out from. They had cleaned up the area and killed all the remaining small bone-piercing winter spiders. In the following day, there would definitely be less demon beasts to hunt in the vicinity. To obtain more demon-slaying experience points, one had to either head deeper into the Drive Sky Forest or go in another direction. Now, many of the people from the Jiang clan participating in the demon-slaying expedition were in other directions. Even if there were people who were near the direction where the giant bone-piercing winter spiders had appeared, they had long since moved elsewhere. For example, Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyue, the two inheritors of the true dragon blood essence. Even they did not dare to face the giant bone-piercing winter spiders or the smaller ones. Apart from Jiang Shenwu and Jiang Yuning, the only one who could remain in the vicinity last night was Zhang Liuxue. However, Zhang Liuxue probably wouldn't appear in the vicinity. She had long since headed into the depths of the Heaven Drive forest. Next, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning were faced with a choice. Should they continue deeper, or should they head in another direction? If they continued deeper, they would likely encounter powerful demon beasts. Even a fifth-layer earth demon was not something the current Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning could deal with. Last night, they were able to deal with the sixth-layer earth demon bone-piercing winter spiders because Kang Shinmu had devoured a large amount of the power of extreme cold. He had a strong resistance against cold ice and cold toxins. Otherwise, he would have long died at the hands of the bone-piercing winter spiders. However, if we head in another direction, we might encounter others, and many of the demon beasts might have already been killed. It won't be easy to get more points. Jiang Yuning was also very worried about this. If there were enough demon beasts, they would definitely hunt the weaker earth demons. That way, their demon-slaying points would increase faster. Just like when Kang Shinmu had gone to hunt those thorny-back pigs, it was much easier to deal with 3 second-layer earth demons than 1 sixth-layer earth demon. However, the latter required much more effort than the former. However, the weaker earth demons in the periphery of the sky-driving forest had probably been hunted down by others in the past 2 days. Even if they did not die, they would not remain in the periphery and wait to be slaughtered by the dragon warriors. Many earth demons would flee into the depths of the sky-driving forest when they saw that the situation was not good, seeking shelter from some powerful demon beasts. Let's go deeper. As long as we can kill a fifth-layer earth demon, there will definitely be many weaker earth demons in the periphery under its protection. We can kill them along the way. Kang Xinmu said to Jiang Yuaning, although it's a little risky, this is the only way to get first place in the demon slaying experience. Who knows, we might be able to get 20 to 30 points in the next round. In terms of efficiency, it's still very good. That's right, the only drawback of going deeper into the sky-driving forest was that it was too risky. With the current strength of Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning, even if they joined forces, they might not be able to deal with a fifth-layer earth demon. They still had to rely on the right time and place. Previously, when the two of them joined forces to deal with the bone-piercing winter spiders, it was also because there happened to be a fourth-layer bone-piercing winter spider that gave Kang Xinmu a springboard. Maybe it's not as difficult as we think. Jiang Yuaning smiled. Most of the demonic beasts in the depths of the Heaven Drive forest live in packs. We can also find a pack of demonic beasts and start with the weaker ones. That way, it will be the same as hunting the bone-piercing winter spiders. If the strongest earth demon attacks, I will stop it. What do you think? We can give it a try, but everything depends on us being alive. If there's any danger, we'll have to retreat immediately. Kang Xinmu nodded. The two of them made their decision and continued to advance into the depths of the sky-driving forest hand in hand. The combination of the two of them could be said to be a very powerful one. It was even stronger than the combination of two true dragon martial artists. When dealing with the same type of demon beast, as long as Kang Xinmu devoured some of its power and grew, he could deal with a fifth layer or even stronger existence. The prerequisite was that Jiang Yuaning could stop those powerful existences before that. Otherwise, before Kang Xinmu could grow, he would have died in the hands of those powerful demon beasts. In particular, some of the more powerful demon beasts, who could control lightning or had extremely strong physical bodies, were undoubtedly a nightmare for Kang Xinmu. A fifth-layer earth demon could easily kill Kang Xinmu with a single move. It would not give Kang Xinmu any chance to devour its power. As they continued to hunt, Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning's cooperation became crucial. Not long after, the two of them passed through the ice pit. Those bone-piercing winter spiders had crawled out of the pit. Unfortunately, they had all been wiped out. Otherwise, if the situation last night had continued for another day and night, Kang Xinmu was sure that the Grand Lord Palace would have obtained the highest demon-slaying points among the 5 prefectures. However, now that the bone-piercing winter spiders were gone, they naturally had to think of other ways to hunt the earth demons. The two of them continued to advance deeper into the sky-driving forest. Danger had quietly surrounded them without them knowing. Chapter 38-33. In the depths of the heavenly exorcism forest, 5th and 6th layer earth demons would gradually appear. They wouldn't even appear alone, but in groups. In the outskirts of the heavenly exorcism forest, many earth demon groups had already dispersed. Because they had foreseen that the dragon warriors would come to hunt demon beasts, they had gone deeper into the forest to seek refuge. But now, what was about to appear in front of Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning would definitely not be those scattered demon beast groups, but a very large demon beast group. In this kind of group, there were even many demon beasts that had fled from the outskirts of the heavenly exorcism forest to seek refuge. This was exactly what Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning were looking for. As long as the strongest demon beast group was a 5th layer earth demon and not a 6th layer earth demon, then they could make a move. As the two of them went deeper into the heavenly exorcism forest, the surrounding dense forest became even more lush. The sunlight was unable to shine through the dense forest's dense leaves. Everywhere was filled with the aura of demon beasts, as well as the smell of blood, lingering in the dense forest. The two of them advanced about 20 kilometers into the depths of the heavenly exorcism forest, but they didn't encounter any demon beasts. This was within Kang Xinmu's expectations. After all, the giant bone-piercing winter spiders had just appeared nearby. Not to mention anything else, just the giant bone-piercing winter spider's sky demon aura and endless cold chi were enough to disperse a large group of demon beasts. After the two of them advanced for more than 30 kilometers, they finally saw the first demon beast group. Fanged hounds. This was an extremely ferocious demon beast group. Moreover, it was a hunting-type demon beast group. In other words, this demon beast group didn't have a fixed residence. They only wandered in the dense forest and hunted. When they saw a weaker demon beast group, they would go up and devour them. If they saw a stronger demon beast, the fanged hounds would move extremely fast in the forest. Other demon beasts wouldn't give up their group's residence and chase after them. It could be said that they were an extremely difficult demon beast to deal with in the heavenly exorcism forest. Kang Shinmu stood on a large rock and saw traces of the fanged hounds in the distance. Therefore, he knew that there was a group of fanged hounds nearby, but he didn't know where they were. Let's be careful. There are fanged dogs nearby. I don't know where they are. Kang Shinmu whispered to Jiang Yuaning. Then, he pulled Jiang Yuaning and hid in a nearby jungle. Kang Shinmu definitely wouldn't take the initiative to provoke the fanged hounds, but he could follow them. That was because the fanged hounds had to hunt every day, and they might soon find a hunting target. While the fanged hounds were fighting with the demonic beasts, Kang Shinmu, 4,000 he and Jiang Yuaning could hide and watch from the sidelines and reap the benefits. Whether it was the fanged hounds or the demonic beasts, they would all become their hunting targets. Putting everything else aside, if they really succeeded, they would be able to gain at least 100 demon-slaying points for the Grand Prince's mansion. Even the heavenly dragon inheritor, Zhang Liushua, might not be able to obtain such a score easily. If they were to attack a demonic beast group like Zhang Liushua, they would usually send out the strongest member of the other party. By the time Zhang Liushua finished off her opponent, the rest of the demonic beasts would have already fled in all directions. It was impossible for them to be left behind for Zhang Liushua to continue slaughtering. Demonic beasts as stupid as the deep-back barbed boar were really hard to find. However, when those beasts were attacked by the fanged hounds, the situation was completely different. Since the fanged hounds weren't particularly strong, when they were attacked by the fanged hounds, the general beasts would mobilize all of their members to resist the fanged hounds' attack. In the process, there would be casualties on both sides. If Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning joined in, both the fanged hounds and the demonic beasts would suffer greater losses. It was even possible that the entire demonic beast group would be wiped out. Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning patiently hid in the dense forest. Indeed, after a while, they saw a group of fanged hounds pass in front of them. This group of fanged hounds was led by a 5th-layer earth demon. Behind it were at least 10 4th-layer fanged hounds and dozens of 3rd-layer fanged hounds. There wouldn't be too many weaklings in the fanged hound group, because the weaklings would be eliminated and wouldn't be able to adapt to this kind of hunting lifestyle. As for the descendants of the fanged hound group, they would be placed in a relatively safe place to be raised. Every once in a while, the fanged hound group would return to the breeding ground and select a few descendants to hunt with the group. Since the breeding ground of the fanged hound group was extremely hidden, this method was actually very safe. Even if the fanged hounds outside were killed, the descendants of the breeding ground would still be able to grow up and form a new hunting team. Not long after the 35 fanged hounds passed in front of them, Kang Shinmu pulled Jiang Yuaning out of the dense forest and followed the footsteps of the fanged hounds. They were far behind the fanged hounds so that they wouldn't be discovered by the other party and would be able to detect whether there was a battle in front of them. Following the fanged hounds deeper, Kang Shinmu guessed that he and Jiang Yuaning had already penetrated more than 300 kilometers into the Sky Drive forest. They were already nearly 50 kilometers away from the ice pit where the bone-piercing winter spiders had appeared. At this time, there was finally some movement in front of them. Obviously, the fanged hound tribe had been keeping an eye on this area for a long time. Without any preparation, the fanged hound beasts scattered in all directions and surrounded the territory of another beast tribe. Then, they launched an attack. Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning jumped onto the treetops and hid in the luxuriant foliage, observing the situation in front of them. There was a group of green ape demonic beasts living on the hillside. There were also some simple wooden houses built on the hillside. The wooden houses were covered with many thick and large leaves. It was obvious that they were a demonic beast group with some intelligence and combat ability. However, in the face of the Fanged Hound group's attack, the resistance of the Green Ape demonic beast group was obviously insufficient. Most importantly, they weren't prepared in the slightest. On the other hand, the Fanged Hound group was quite familiar with the surrounding environment. Every Fanged Hound could find the most suitable attack route and easily reach the central hinterland of the Green Ape demonic beast group. Then, they would sneak attack the younger generation behind them. A roar was released from the Green Ape demonic beast group. Then, a fifth-layer Earth Demon Realm Green Ape demonic beast vigorously hammered its chest and rushed down from the hillside. It directly rushed towards the fifth-layer Earth Demon Realm Fanged Hound demonic beast. Chapter 38-34. The Fanged Hound demonic beasts did not expect that there would be dragon warriors following them. When Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning appeared, all the Fanged Hounds panicked. They had just experienced a battle and were not in a good state. In addition, each of them had at least 2 corpses of green apes or Fanged Hounds, so it was even more difficult to deal with them. After being intercepted by Jiang Xinwu and Jiang Yuaning, more than half of the Fanged Hound demonic beasts chose to avoid them. They dragged the corpses of the Fanged Hounds and green apes and took a detour. Some Fanged Hounds put down the corpses they had been dragging and chose to fight against Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning came prepared. At this moment, Jiang Yuaning directly turned into a moonlight star dragon. The power of the moonlight condensed into numerous sword lights and poured down. Kang Xinmu also turned into a black dragon of devouring. He followed the moonlight star dragon and bit a Fanged Hound demonic beast at the level of the 4th level of the Earth Demon Realm. Then, he quickly condensed his devouring power. As the power of the moonlight and the sword lights poured down, several Fanged Hounds at the level of the 3rd level of the Earth Demon Realm suffered a heavy blow in an instant. One of them even died on the spot. However, there were still many Fanged Hounds left on the scene. On the other side, the leader of the Fanged Hounds at the level of the 5th level of the Earth Demon Realm flew into a rage when it saw the 2 dragon warriors. However, it could not turn back to help them at all, because the Green Ape demonic beasts were holding it back. Originally, it was the leader of the Fanged Hounds that had blocked the group of Green Ape demonic beasts. But now, it was the other way around. Seeing that the dragon warriors had blocked the Fanged Hounds, the Green Ape demonic beasts took advantage of the situation and blocked the leader of the Fanged Hounds, not allowing it to turn back to help the other Fanged Hounds. This situation was exactly what Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning had expected. It was also the greatest guarantee for them to escape unscathed. Kang Xinmu bit a level of the 4th level of the Earth Demon Realm. His devouring power continued to devour the flesh and blood essence of the Fanged Hound. Although he was attacked by more Fanged Hounds at the same time, his life was not in danger due to the constant devouring power. The moonlight star dragon rolled over and the power of the moonlight condensed into starlight blades, constantly pouring out in all directions. At the same time, many Fanged Hounds rushed towards the moonlight star dragon. Their speed was as fast as lightning. Many afterimages of the Fanged Hounds appeared on the scene. Jiang Yuaning didn't pay any attention to him. Instead, she used her dragon claws to grab the corpses of the Fanged Hounds and green apes and extracted the demon cores of the earth demons. Soon, she obtained 3 demon cores. This was what she was mainly doing. Kang Xinmu was in charge of delaying the Fanged Hounds. Soon, Kang Xinmu was bitten by more Fanged Hounds. He had to take out a demon core of the 2nd level of the Earth Demon Realm to devour its power so that he could recover faster. Otherwise, there would be wounds all over his body and he would not be able to heal in time. Under such circumstances, Kang Xinmu alone was delaying more than 10 Fanged Hounds. Although the situation was very dangerous, it still bought a lot of time for Jiang Yuaning. Jiang Yuaning kept releasing moonlight blades to force the Fanged Hounds to retreat. Then, she kept retrieving the demon cores of the earth demons from the corpses. Soon, she had obtained about 20 demon cores of the earth demons. At this time, there was a sudden change in the distance. After such a long time, Jiang Shenwu had already completely devoured one of the fanged hounds. Just as he was about to bite the second fanged hound and devour it, the fanged hound demonic beast leader suddenly howled and rushed towards him. The leader of the fanged hound demonic beasts was a powerful 5th-layer earth demon. Even if Jiang Shenwu had devoured a 4th-layer earth demon, he would definitely not be able to resist it. After all, fanged hound demonic beasts mostly controlled their physical strength. Even if Kang Shinmu had devoured the fanged hounds, he would at most be able to increase his strength. However, he would not be able to resist the sharp claws and bite of the leader of the fanged hounds. After all, the fanged hounds possessed 4,000. It wasn't the elemental power. This made Kang Shinmu's devouring ability to increase his resistance to fight against the fanged hounds. However, it could hardly play a big role. It could only slightly increase his strength. Seeing that the leader of the fanged hounds had unexpectedly rushed over, Kang Shinmu's heart moved. He understood that the green ape demon beasts must have let it go. On the battlefield, there were about 50 dead green ape and fanged hounds. Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had taken away 20 demon cores of the earth demons. This could be considered as a mercy to the green ape demon beasts. They mainly wanted to use the strength of Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning to weaken and disperse the fanged hounds. But now, the green ape demon beasts had achieved their goal. So, they directly gave up on obstructing the leader of the fanged hounds. In this way, the leader of the fanged hound demonic beasts directly charged towards Jiang Shenwu and the other 2 martial artists. As for the green ape demonic beasts, they spread out and, under the leadership of their leader, charged towards the battlefield and surrounded all the fanged hound demonic beasts that were trying to escape with the corpses. This was a counterattack by the green ape demon beasts. The main opportunity for the counterattack was that Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had attracted the attention of the leader of the fanged hounds. This made the fanged hounds almost leaderless and unable to face the encirclement of the green ape demon beasts. These demonic beasts were not fools. If it wasn't for the appearance of Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning, the fanged hounds would have definitely won the battle between the 2 demonic beasts. Unfortunately, the appearance of Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning gave the green ape demon beasts an excellent opportunity to snatch the spoils of war. Run! Kang Shinmu was sure that he was no match for the leader of the fanged hounds. Seeing that the leader of the fanged hounds was rushing towards him, he immediately flew towards the sky, trying to escape. The Moonlight Star Dragon carried the 22 monster cores of the Earth Demon and directly flew up. Then, the power of the moonlight condensed into a blade light and continuously slashed towards the fanged hounds that were chasing after them and the fanged hounds that were biting Kang Shinmu. Soon, the fanged hounds that were biting Kang Shinmu were forced to retreat by the moonlight blade light. However, there were still 4 fanged hounds that flew up with the body of the black dragon. For Kang Shinmu, the biggest threat was not the fanged hounds that were biting him, but the leader of the fanged hounds that was rushing towards him at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 38-35. Kang Shinmu fled at lightning speed. The black dragon traversed through the dense forest. However, the fanged hound demonic beast leader rushed over at an extremely fast speed and leaped high into the air. Seeing that he was about to grab the black dragon's body, Kang Shinmu instantly descended and reverted to his human form. Several fanged hound demon beasts that were biting his body instantly fell from the sky. Kang Shinmu landed in the middle of the jungle. No matter what, he couldn't let himself be caught by the fanged hound. Otherwise, the fanged hound would be able to tear his black dragon body into pieces. Therefore, he directly reverted to his human form. The huge black dragon body suddenly disappeared from the dense forest. The fanged hounds were all stunned. Obviously, they didn't expect the dragon warrior to escape like this. After falling into the dense forest, if the fanged hounds continued to track Kang Shinmu, they would be able to catch up with him quickly. However, they didn't have the time to chase after Kang Shinmu. This was because more fanged hound demon beasts were being chased and besieged by the green ape demon beasts. Many fanged hound demon beasts were howling miserably. This made the fanged hound leader turn his head back. If he could directly kill Kang Shinmu, then, 4,000? The Fanged Hound demonic beast leader would not hesitate to kill Kang Shinmu before turning back. But now, Kang Shinmu was hiding in the dense forest. If they wasted more time on him, the Fanged Hounds behind them would suffer more casualties. This was an unbearable loss for the leader of the Fanged Hounds. Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning finally escaped safely. Once again, the two of them hid in the dense forest at the side. While counting the spoils of war that they had just obtained, they observed the following situation in the battlefield. A total of 26 Yao cores. 19 of them are third-layer Yao cores, and 7 are fourth-layer Yao cores. I didn't care about the demon cores of the second and first-layer earth demons. Jiang Yuning counted and did some calculations. She had temporarily obtained 95 demon-slaying points from this operation. It could be said that this was equivalent to the spoils of war that most people would obtain in 3 days of demon-slaying experience. However, it was still a little short of the effect they wanted, so they didn't leave immediately. Instead, they continued to observe. On the battlefield, the Fanged Hound demon beast leader and the Green Ape demon beast leader quickly clashed again. After blocking the Green Ape demon beast leader, the Green Ape demon beast leader's slaughter of the Fanged Hound demon beasts was not as smooth as before. Since the other party had caught up to them, the Fanged Hound demon beasts all put down the corpses in their hands and casually landed in the middle of the forest. Then, they charged towards the group of Green Ape demon beasts to counterattack. This gave Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning another chance. Quietly, Jiang Shinwu and Jiang Yuning glanced at each other and nodded to each other. Then, they split up and moved stealthily from the dense forest to the battlefield of the two monster beasts. Then, they stealthily dragged away the corpses of the monster beasts that had fallen on the edge of the forest, took away all the monster cores, and put the corpses back to their original positions. If the demon beasts paid a little attention, they would know that the corpses no longer had Yao cores. However, both sides were in an intense battle now. In addition, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning's movements were extremely sneaky, so such a small action was not discovered by the two demon beasts. Soon, the two of them each harvested a dozen or so Yao cores. Seeing that most of the corpses on the field had been taken care of, they split up and hid in the dense forest. Then, they gathered on a giant tree in the distance. How was the harvest? After Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning had split up, they gathered together again. The first thing they did was to calculate the harvest of this second operation. It didn't take long for the two of them to come to a conclusion. In total, they had obtained 22 demonic cores, which gave them more than 80 demon-slaying points. This operation could be said to be a perfect success. The Fanged Hounds and the Green Apes were still fighting each other. The Fanged Hound demon beasts wanted to retreat, but they were firmly chased by the Green Ape demon beasts. It was impossible for them to retreat safely. They could only leave behind a pile of corpses and escape, or fight to the death with the Green Ape demon beasts. In the end, the Fanged Hound demon beasts paid the price of half of their lives and dragged away a small portion of the corpses. It could be said that they had suffered a great loss. This operation was supposed to be a big profit for them. However, because of Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning's appearance, they were unable to gain any benefits. As for the Green Ape demon beasts, they had also paid the price of 30 to 40 earth demons. As the party that had been attacked, they had naturally suffered a disaster for no reason. In the end, although the Fanged Hound demon beasts were repelled, when they searched for the spoils of war, they discovered that many of the corpses had lost their Yao cores. In other words, the final compensation they received was basically consolation. It was completely unable to make up for the losses that they had suffered. In the end, the ones who had benefited the most were naturally Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning. When the two demon beasts had ended their battle, the two dragon warriors had long since left the vicinity and headed deeper into the Sky Herald Forest. Now that they had obtained more than 170 demon-slaying points, if this had been the previous demon-slaying experience, the first place would definitely have been theirs. But this time, with the Sky Dragon's successor Jiang Liuxue in the North Prefecture, No one knew how many demon-slaying points Jiang Liuxue had obtained. If they wanted to secure the first place, Kang Xinmu absolutely could not relax. They had to fight until the last moment. I wonder how Jiang Liuxue is doing now. Given her strength, what level of earth demons can she kill? Jiang Yuaning could not help but sigh. Once a dragon warrior with the sky dragon's bloodline transformed into a dragon, their bodies would be hundreds of feet long. Just by relying on the brute force of their bodies, they could suppress most earth demons below the 5th layer. Even if it was a 5th layer earth demon, once the sky dragon's successor used his techniques, he could easily kill it. This kind of strength completely surpassed the combined strength of Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning. Moreover, not to mention the fact that the two of them had just made a fortune, if they could do such a thing, why couldn't others? Moreover, if Jiang Liuxue had done such a thing, she might have gone to the 6th or 7th layer earth demon beasts to wait for her prey. She would definitely have obtained more points than the two of them combined. Of course, Jiang Liuxue had inherited the sky dragon's blood essence, so she would definitely be proud and arrogant. She would most likely not be willing to do such an ambush. However, Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning really could not imagine how many earth demons Jiang Liuxue had killed. Chapter 38-36. The Fanged Hound Demon Beast Group and the Green Ape Demon Beast Group quickly fell into an extremely fierce battle. Some demon beasts quickly died on the hillside of the jungle, but their monster dawn were not taken away, because in a short period of time, the other side would not have the leisure to take away their monster dawn, so they immediately threw themselves into an even more intense battle. Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning watched from the side. Their hearts were somewhat restless, but they understood that this was not the best time for them to appear. When both sides were almost done fighting, the two of them would be able to gain the most, and it would also be safer, because in the Sky Drive Forest, if these demon beasts saw a dragon martial artist, they would most likely join forces to kill the dragon martial artist first. There were also special circumstances, that is, when the other side's hatred was particularly high, it was possible that they would ignore the dragon martial artist and continue to pursue and kill the opponent. For example, now, Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning were waiting for the Fanged Hound and Green Ape Demon Beast groups to suffer increasing losses, and at that time, both sides' hatred for each other would be extremely high, so if Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning appeared again, they might not be attacked by the other two demon beasts. The two quietly observed the fierce battle in front of them from the side of the jungle. Even if the Fanged Hound Demon Beast group was well prepared, when attacking the Green Ape Demon Beast group, they also suffered a lot of losses, but in comparison, the Green Ape Demon Beast group suffered a sudden attack, and obviously, the losses were much higher. The Fanged Hound Demon Beast group soon lost 3 or 4 of its members, but at this time, the Green Ape Demon Beast group had already been killed by the Fanged Hounds, and on both sides, the Fanged Hounds had killed more than a dozen Green Ape Demon Beasts, and as for the 4th and 5th Earth Demon Beasts, there were no casualties for the time being, but they had already fallen into a fierce battle. This made it even more impossible for Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning to act rashly. If the other side had 2 5th Earth Demon leaders to attack them together, they would absolutely not be able to escape. The Fanged Hound Demon Beast was extremely fast, especially when chasing prey in the forest. Even if the dragon martial artist was a dragon, it would be difficult to escape their pursuit. Dragon martial artists could fly, but the flexible Fanged Hounds could catch up with a very fast speed, and then jump hundreds of meters high, directly bite the body of the dragon martial artist, and then use various means to tear the body of the dragon martial artist. An excellent hunter must have excellent patience. Jiang Yuaning and Jiang Xinwu did not act rashly. Even though 30 to 40 earth demons had already died in the territory of the Green Ape demonic beasts, the two of them did not rush out rashly. If the losses on both sides are too great, it is very likely that the battle will stop. If the losses on both sides are too great, it is very likely that the battle will stop. After all, the purpose of the Fanged Hound demonic beasts was not to exterminate the Green Ape demonic beasts, but to obtain a certain amount of food and resources. They especially wanted to plunder the demon cores of the Green Ape demonic beasts, which could enhance the strength of the entire fanged hound demonic beasts. After killing some green ape demon beasts, the fanged hound demon beasts would most likely begin to retreat. If this was the case, it would not be good news for Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuning. However, even so, the two could only continue to wait, otherwise, they would only be courting death. Soon, the battle between the two sides became more and more intense. More than 15 fanged hound demon beasts had fallen to the ground. Not all of them were dead, but at least they were seriously injured and could no longer continue to fight. Although the green ape demon beasts were not prepared for a battle, they were born with extraordinary strength, and their bodies were extremely strong. Moreover, after a period of time, they had gradually adapted to the surprise attack of the fanged hound demon beasts, and gradually became braver and fiercer. Of course, at this time, at least 40 green ape demon beasts had been killed, all of which were earth demon beasts, including 2 fourth earth demon beasts, who had been seriously injured and could no longer fight. However, the young green ape demon beasts were not targeted by the fanged hound demon beasts, because these young green ape demon beasts had not reached the earth demon beast level, so there was no value in killing them. Even if they killed them, they would not be able to obtain their demon cores. At this time, Kang Xinmu saw that many fanged hound demon beasts began to rush into the territory of the green ape demon beasts, and dragged the dead and wounded green ape demon beasts outside. Obviously, the fanged hound demon beasts felt that they had obtained enough spoils of war, so they were ready to leave with the dead and wounded demon beasts. Even the corpses of the dead fanged hound demon beasts were dragged outside at an extremely fast speed. Even if they were of the same species, but they also had demon cores in their bodies. Since they had died in the battle, it was not a big deal for their demon cores to be eaten by their own kind. This was a very common thing among the demon beasts, but it was a bit unacceptable for the dragon warriors. The fanged hound demon beasts had killed so many green apes, so how could the green ape demon beasts let them leave so easily? When the fanged hounds brought their spoils of war and prepared to retreat, the green ape demon beast clan's counterattack became even more intense. However, the leader of the fanged hounds, who was at the 5th layer of the earth demon beast clan, stood in front of the rest of the green ape demon beasts, protecting them as they retreated. With the 5th earth demon beast leader blocking the green ape demon beasts, the green ape demon beasts were unable to break through, because the speed of the fanged hound demon beast leader was too fast, and any green ape demon beast that wanted to chase after them would be blocked by the fanged hound demon beast leader. After fighting for so long, the green ape demon beast leader was unable to deal with the fanged hound demon beast leader. The green ape demon beasts were very strong, but the fanged hound demon beast leader's speed surpassed them, not to mention that the fanged hound demon beast leader had reached the 5th earth demon beast level, and the power of the earth had strengthened its speed, making it move as fast as lightning, and ordinary existences simply could not catch up with it. Kang Xinmu looked on from the side, and couldn't help but swallow his saliva. If the fanged hound demon beast leader's speed was the same as that of the Blackthorn pigs, then Kang Xinmu would have died hundreds of times. There was no doubt that even Kang Xinmu would not be able to escape the pursuit of the fanged hound demon beast leader. The speed of the fanged hound demon beast leader was at least twice as fast as Kang Xinmu after transforming into a black dragon, and its instantaneous burst of speed was even more terrifying, leaving only an afterimage in its original place. However, now was not the time for him to lament. Yuaning, it's almost time to make a move. Kang Xinmu squinted his eyes and stared at the situation on the battlefield. Now that the fanged hound demon beast leader wanted to stop the green ape demon beasts, it couldn't help the fanged hounds behind it. Moreover, the fanged hounds were dragging at least 3 green ape and fanged hound corpses, and the beast cores were still inside them. If he were to sneak attack these fanged hounds, he would definitely have a lot of harvest. Moreover, with so many green apes dead, Kang Xinmu did not believe that the green apes would give up on the fanged hound demon beast leader to attack him and Jiang Yuning. The best time to make a move was now. Chapter 38-37. In the depths of the Heaven Drive forest. A beautiful woman dressed in white was moving through the dense forest. Her entire body was filled with an extremely powerful aura. Some of the weaker monstrous beasts nearby scrambled to avoid her. Even some of the earth demons at the 5th layer fled far away after sensing her aura. That woman was Jiang Liuxue. The Jiang clan was divided into 5 manors, and there was intense competition between the manors. In the past, the Grand Prince Mansion, which possessed the most resources, was able to obtain better results in the demon-slaying experience. But this time, Jiang Liuxue wanted to break this pattern. After all, she was the only dragon warrior who had obtained the inheritance of the heavenly dragon's blood essence. Heaven Profound Jade Fire Dragon. After transforming into a dragon, her body would be 300 meters long. In addition to the innate power of the Heaven Profound Jade Fire, her battle prowess was much stronger than other dragon warriors who had just transformed into dragons. Jiang Liuxue moved through the dense forest. In front of her, a monstrous beast clan appeared before her eyes. A hint of coldness appeared in her eyes. This monstrous beast clan was led by a earth demon at the 7th layer. Even for her, it would be extremely difficult to wipe out this monstrous beast clan in one fell swoop. However, her target was only the leader of the monstrous beasts at the 7th layer. After killing this earth demon at the 7th layer, I'll get another 7 points. First place in this demon-slaying experience is within my grasp. Jiang Liuxue's target was the leader of every monstrous beast clan. Just her 300-meter-long heavenly dragon body was enough to suppress the majority of earth demons at the 6th layer and below. Needless to say, she also had an innate power like the Heaven Profound Jade Fire, which was much stronger than ordinary innate powers like lightning and fire. But unfortunately, Jiang Liuxue didn't know what Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning were doing. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so relaxed. Right now, Jiang Liuxue was only dealing with the leader of the monstrous beast clan. After killing the leader, the rest of the monstrous beasts would flee for their lives. If she had chased after these demonic beasts, the demon-slaying experience points she would have obtained would have at least doubled. However, she was too conceited. Conceited to the point that she thought that even if she only killed the leaders of the demonic beast tribes, she would still be able to obtain first place in the demon-slaying experience points. After all, up until now, she had already obtained nearly 400 points. In the past, she would have been able to double the score of the person in second place. Of course, she did not know that the earth demon's core that Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning had obtained together had already surpassed what she had obtained. So much so that she didn't even have one before the demon-slaying trial began. 4,000. She no longer cared about Kang Xinmu. In her eyes, only those true dragon inheritors posed a slight threat. However, compared to her, they were still far behind. It was impossible for them to surpass her sky-mysterious jade fire dragon. Her extreme conceit caused her to give up on the demonic cores that were easily within her reach and turn around to search for more demonic beast leaders. In her opinion, this was a good opportunity to increase her combat experience. Only by fighting the strongest demonic beasts would she be able to push herself to her limits and allow herself to grow. There was no need for her to chase after those weaker demonic beasts. Unfortunately, it was this conceit that caused her to regret in the end. Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning traversed through the dense forest. The demon-slaying experience points began on the morning of the first day. Naturally, it ended on the morning of the third day. The last night was the most dangerous. This was because many dragon martial artists would take the risk to hunt more earth demons and take action at night. As for moving at night, firstly, there was no vision. Secondly, they had already been busy for the whole day. At night, they would definitely not have enough energy, and the risk was even greater. This was not a problem for Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning. The two of them did not choose to confront the 5th and 6th earth demons head-on. Instead, they calmly hid at the side every time they found a demonic beast tribe's nest. Whenever they had the chance, they would kill one or two of the weaker demonic beasts. Everything was considered from a safety perspective. After all, in a head-on confrontation, the two of them together were not a match for the 5th and 6th earth demons. In this way, the harvest they could obtain was naturally much less than before. It should be known that the battle between the fanged hounds and the green apes was not that common. This kind of large-scale confrontation between demonic beasts was extremely rare. If they encountered it, it would be luck. If they didn't, Kang Shinmu could not blame anyone. However, by waiting like this, they could still obtain a lot of demon cores. After all, these demonic beasts lived in the heavenly dry forest. They would have to go out to hunt, right? They would have to go out to patrol, right? When they saw some foraging or patrolling demonic beasts that they could deal with, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning would directly attack. This was also known as bullying the weak and fearing the strong. When they encountered a powerful earth demon, the two of them would turn around and leave. However, if it was a group of earth demons that they could deal with, such as the third or fourth earth demons, they could suddenly attack and kill one or two of them. As for whether they would kill them or escape, it would depend on the situation. When the situation allowed, the two of them would naturally hunt more earth demons. However, sometimes, the movement of the sneak attack was too big, or the earth demon that was attacked would roar loudly before dying, or the remaining one or two earth demons would escape and return to the demonic beasts' nests to inform them of the situation. In this way, it would be very dangerous to continue to stay. In this way, the two of them would change locations every time they shot, constantly ambushing the demonic beasts' nests. If there were any earth demons that came out alone or in small numbers, they would sneak attack and kill them. If this continued, they would be able to obtain at least a few dozen points by nighttime. At night, it would be even easier to launch a sneak attack. The only thing to consider was that most of the demonic beasts were in their nests at night. Once they launched a sneak attack, it would definitely alarm the entire demonic beasts' nests. Even the nearby demonic beasts' nests would be alarmed. In this way, if they wanted to change locations to launch a sneak attack, they would have to run further. The efficiency of hunting at night was definitely not as good as during the day. However, there were also benefits at night. This was because some earth demons would only appear at night, and they would appear alone. Their goal was likely the same as Kang Shinmu's, to sneak attack other demonic beasts' nests to obtain food and other necessities for survival. If Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning followed a lone demonic beast to hunt, it was very likely that they would be able to take advantage of the situation. Time flew by. As the sky gradually brightened, the sun gradually rose. The 3-day Jiang clan's demon-slaying training was about to end. At the edge of Drive Heaven Forest, many experts of the Jiang clan were waiting for the younger generation of the Jiang clan's dragon warriors to be brought out from Drive Heaven Forest. According to the rules, everyone had to crush the flaming explosion scroll in the morning and let the experts of the Jiang clan find it. Chapter 38:38. On the morning of the third day, the Jiang tribal clan's demon-slaying experience finally ended. There were more than 100 dragon warriors who had just transformed into dragons participating in the Jiang clan's demon-slaying experience. They came from the 5 prefectures of the Jiang clan, and on average, each prefecture had one dragon warrior with true dragon heritage. Besides the northern prefecture's true dragon warrior, there was also Jiang Liuxue, a genius who had inherited the sky mysterious jade fire dragon's blood essence. She was a hot favorite to win. The ranking of the demonic beheading ranking among the 5 palaces was related to what kind of dragon martial technique the young dragon martial artist from the 5 palaces could cultivate. If they were the champion, they would naturally be able to obtain the highest grade dragon martial technique. Therefore, many of the elders of the 5 prefectures came to the outskirts of the Drive Heavens forest, waiting for the demon-slaying experience to end. The dragon martial skill was a technique that allowed one to communicate with the divine dragon's blood essence and display the innate power of the divine dragon. This kind of technique was a secret to every tribe. Moreover, cultivating the dragon martial skill required a lot of special resources. With limited resources, the Jiang tribal clan could only give the best dragon skill to a portion of the people to cultivate. It was impossible for everyone to cultivate the highest grade dragon skill. Otherwise, without enough cultivation resources, many people would not be able to comprehend the dragon martial skill to its peak even if they cultivated the highest grade dragon martial skill. It would be better to cultivate the other slightly inferior dragon martial skills and raise it to its peak. Dragon warriors were constantly being brought out from the Drive Heavens forest. As many people were deep in the Drive Heavens forest that morning, most of them crushed the explosive scroll and were brought out one by the Jiang tribal clan's experts. To gather everyone, they would have to wait until noon. For this demon-slaying experience, there are heavenly dragon inheritors participating. The first place has already been decided, but the second and third place are still worth watching. That's right. If the northern prefecture is first, then the eastern prefecture should be next. After all, the eastern prefecture has 2 true dragon inheritors, including Jiang Qingyun. You might not know because you just arrived today, but 2 days ago, a sky demon bone-piercing winter spider appeared in the outskirts of the Drive Heavens forest. That's right. When the bone-piercing winter spider appeared, Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyue escaped. Although the two of them obtained around 50 points, they did not enter again. There's such a thing? Upon hearing the conversations around them, Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyue exchanged looks and gritted their teeth in disdain. What do these people know? Even a heavenly demon has appeared. Aren't we just going to die if we go in? That's right. There's no need to take risks for this demon-slaying trial. Besides, we have Jiang Liuxue on our side. We will definitely be first in this demon-slaying trial, said Jiang Qiyue. When Jiang Qingyun heard this, she couldn't help but curse in her heart. Jiang Qiyue had Jiang Liuxue behind her, but Jiang Qingyun didn't. Moreover, before he had been chased out by the bone-piercing winter spiders, he had been tricked by a black dragon that was 150 feet long. Even now, he still didn't know who that black dragon was. In any case, Jiang Qingyun knew that it wasn't from the Jiang clan. After all, the black dragon was 150 feet long. None of the Jiang clan members who had transformed into dragons looked like that. After being scared out of their wits by the bone-piercing winter spiders, the two of them did not return to Drive Sky Forest because they wouldn't be able to obtain many points even if they returned. There was only 1 day and 1 night left. It wasn't a good time to move around at night, so they could at most obtain 10 to 20 points. In their opinion, it wouldn't have much of an impact on the final result. Soon, another true dragon inheritor from the East Prefecture like Jiang Qingyun ran out of the heavenly forest with a few other mortal dragon inheritors from the East Prefecture. He had a confident smile on his face. His name was Jiang Xinglei. He was 2 meters tall and looked extremely ferocious. He had obtained the inheritance of the Purple Lightning True Dragon and was also from the East Prefecture like Jiang Qingyun. It looked like they had a good harvest this time. Jiang Qingyun, how many Yao cores did you get? Jiang Xinglei walked towards Jiang Qingyun and asked with a faint smile, I'm afraid not more than 100. 48. We encountered the heavenly demon bone-piercing winter spiders, so we couldn't continue. Jiang Qingyun's face darkened as he snorted coldly. When they were in the East Prefecture, he and Jiang Xinglei weren't on good terms. Now that the demon-slaying experience had ended, it was normal for Jiang Xinglei to show off. Only 48 points? Jiang Xinglei's expression changed slightly. He was happy to see Jiang Qingyun's harvest not much, but 48 points was too little. It would drag down the entire East Prefecture. One had to know that the East Prefecture originally had 2 true dragon heirs. Logically speaking, they could easily get second place. But now that Jiang Qingyun had done this, the possibility of second place was greatly reduced. If the East Prefecture doesn't get second place this time, you know the consequences. Jiang Xinglei, who originally wanted to show off, was in a bad mood after learning that Jiang Qingyun only obtained 48 points. Don't just talk about me. How much did you get? Jiang Qingyun, of course, was indignant as he asked back. We obtained a total of 152 points. Including yours, it's exactly 200 points. It won't be so easy to get second place. Jiang Xinglei snorted coldly. Of course, these 200 points were not the final score of the East Prefecture. The entire East Prefecture had a total of more than 20 dragon warriors who had just turned into dragons and 10 mortal dragon heirs. In total, they would definitely be able to hunt a lot of earth demons and obtain a lot of demon cores. Jiang Qingyun was in a very bad mood. He was already annoyed by the Black Dragon's harassment. He had already lost a subordinate, the Emerald Rock Dragon. Now that he had encountered the bone-piercing Frost Spider Sky Demon and captured the Clear Wave Water Dragon, his two most useful subordinates had both died. Now, he was mocked and complained by Jiang Xinglei after coming out. How could Jiang Qingyun's mood be good? Then, the only true dragon heir of the West Prefecture, who had always kept a low profile, finally came out of the Sky Drive Forest. He let everyone know that he had obtained 140 points, which was about the same as Jiang Xinglei's. However, since the West Prefecture didn't have a second true dragon heir, it would be difficult for the West Prefecture to surpass the East Prefecture's total score. Although Jiang Qingyun didn't have many points, his score of 48 points was enough to surpass most mortal dragons. In 3 days, it would be very difficult for a 5-man team of mortal dragon heirs to obtain 48 points. But now, Jiang Qingyun alone had obtained 48 points. Chapter 38-39. As more and more people were brought out of the Drive Heavens forest, the approximate ranking of the Jiang clan's 5 prefectures was gradually guessed. Jiang Liuxue is out. Look! It's really Jiang Liuxue. She obtained the Sky Dragon's blood essence. I wonder how many Yao cores she obtained from this demon-slaying trial. The number of earth demons she killed must be the highest among the 100 or so people. She must have exceeded the second place by quite a bit. Soon, someone came forward to ask how many Yao cores Jiang Liuxue had obtained. Following that, Jiang Liuxue's hunting score was spread, 412 points. She specifically picked the stronger earth demons to deal with. At first, it was the 5th layer earth demon. Then, as they went deeper into the Heaven Drive forest, her targets became the 6th layer and even the 7th layer earth demons. As for the weaker earth demons that fled, she didn't chase any of them. In fact, if she chased after them, she would probably obtain 600 or 700 points. This was obtained with her own strength. If she used some special methods, her final score would be even higher. However, she felt that 412 points was enough. She was not the only person from the Northern Prefecture. There was still Jiang Qiue and the others. Their combined score would definitely exceed 500 points. This score was unquestionably first place in all the previous demon-slaying trials. Soon, Jiang Qiue came over and said to Jiang Liuxue, "Sis, I only obtained 78 points. But this time, we will definitely take first place." Hee hee. Jiang Qiue's 2 lackeys followed closely behind. As they looked at Jiang Liuxue's beautiful face, looks of worship appeared on their faces. She alone had obtained over 400 points and killed so many earth demons' monster cores. She was simply too powerful. As expected of the heavenly dragon's inheritor. They were fortunate that they were members of the Northern Prefecture. From the looks of it, they would be able to obtain the strongest dragon technique. When Jiang Liuxue heard that Jiang Qiue had only obtained 78 points, she frowned slightly, but quickly relaxed. She waved her hand and said, "Rest." She was truly tired, but she did not know that Jiang Qiue had come out of the Drive Heavens forest a day ago. After being frightened by the bone-piercing winter spiders, she had not gone back in. She had long since rested. The dragon warriors that had just transformed from the Drive Heavens forest discussed their scores. They also discussed the battles they had in the Drive Heavens forest. Many of their battle and hunting experiences were shared. There were a total of more than 100 people from the 5 mansions, and they were all gathered together according to their respective mansions. Northern residents, Southern residents, Eastern residents, Western residents. The rankings of the various demon-slaying sects were pretty much set. The North Prefecture was the undisputed number 1, followed by the East Prefecture, South Prefecture, and West Prefecture. The South Prefecture's total score was slightly lower. Jiang Cheng isn't out yet. Many people in the South Mansion had already noticed that the only person in the South Mansion who had obtained the inheritance of the true dragon, Jiang Cheng, had not appeared yet. They all knew how powerful the Thunder Slayer true dragon was. This time, he would at least get close to 200 points, right? If the thunder-slaying true dragon Jiang Cheng's score was included, the South Mansion would probably jump to the second place. This caused the dragon martial artists of the southern residence to reveal looks of anticipation. Unfortunately, Jiang Cheng was destined to not be able to come out of the Drive Heavens forest, because he wanted to kill Kang Shinmu with his own strength, but he was killed by Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning together. Even the dragon bones were completely devoured, so of course, it was impossible for him to appear in front of everyone. In the end, when almost everyone had come out, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning were brought out of the Drive Heavens forest by a divine martial realm expert of the Jiang clan, and appeared in front of everyone. The people of the Grand Prince's mansion immediately welcomed them, led by Jiang Haisheng, with an extremely worried expression on his face. Because, apart from Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning, their total score couldn't even compare to the South Mansion, which was the worst. Among them, the team led by Jiang Haisheng not only suffered serious injuries when dealing with the fourth layer of the Earth Demon, but also suffered from Jiang Qingyan's robbery, causing their subsequent battle results to be limited. Even with Jiang Yuaning leading them that day, they didn't get much loot. As for the people from the other Grand Prince's mansion, they were also divided into small teams, but they were also targeted by the people from the other 4 mansions, so their results weren't good. In short, apart from Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning, the others only got a total of 66 points. This score could be said to be extremely low, but this time, the Grand Prince's mansion was targeted by the other 4 mansions, so it couldn't be helped. Logically speaking, the inheritors of the true dragon should be able to get around 150 points within 3 days. If they added the 150 points, the Grand Prince's mansion would be higher than the South Mansion. The people of the Grand Prince's mansion thought that it wouldn't be enough to make the Grand Prince's mansion last. Perhaps, even Jiang Yuaning was targeted by the people from the other 4 mansions? They guessed wrongly. They were targeted, and Jiang Cheng even wanted to kill Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning, but unfortunately, he failed. Not only that, relying on the accident of the bone-piercing winter spider, the opportunity of the fanged hounds and the green apes, and the 2 of them hunting demon beasts through the night, they achieved results that no one could have imagined. How is it, Sister Yuaning? How are your results? Jiang Haisheng and the others came forward and asked eagerly. What about the others? How are the other 4 mansions doing? Jiang Yuaning didn't tell them her score, but asked about the other 4 mansions first. Jiang Haisheng said in a low voice, Jiang Liuxue alone killed countless earth demons and got 412 points. I'm afraid that the North Mansion will undoubtedly take first place this time. The South Mansion's Jiang Cheng hasn't come out yet, but he has a total of 96 points. The West Mansion is average, with 189 points. The East Mansion has 2 inheritors of the true dragon, Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Xinglei, but Jiang Qingyun's results aren't good, so the East Mansion's total score is only 192 points. Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning knew that it was impossible for the thunder-slaying true dragon, Jiang Cheng, to come out. This meant that the South Mansion was in last place, with a total of 96 points. The East Mansion and the West Mansion were not far apart, with one in 3rd and the other in 4th place. As for 1st and 2nd place, it would definitely be decided between the Grand Prince's mansion and the North Mansion. Apart from Jiang Liuxue, how many points did the rest of the North Mansion get? Jiang Yuaning continued to ask. This question confused Jiang Haisheng and the others. Why were they asking the rest of the North Mansion for their scores? Jiang Liuxue's score alone was enough to suppress all the other mansions. What was the point of asking the rest of the North Mansion's scores? Suddenly, Jiang Haisheng thought of a possibility. Could it be that Jiang Yuaning and Kang Shinmu's scores were more than 412 points, so they were asking the rest of the North Mansion's scores to see who was in first place? If that was the case, it would be great. Could the Grand Prince's mansion get first place? Chapter 38-40. Jiang Haixing didn't think too much about it, mainly because he didn't dare to think about it. How difficult would it be to suppress the Northern Manor this time and let the clan Lord Manor take first place? Or rather, it could be said that it was impossible. The reason he didn't dare to think about it was because he was afraid of being disappointed. After all, the possibility of it happening was too low, bordering on the impossible. If there was a glimmer of hope in his heart, it would undoubtedly be cruel to himself because disappointment was bound to come. Jiang Haixing shook his head and said to Jiang Yuaning, apart from Jiang Liuxue who obtained 412 points, the rest of the Northern Mansion's participants added up to 150 points, so the total score is 576 points. It's impossible to surpass them. When Jiang Yuaning heard this, she smiled and patted Jiang Haixing's shoulder. Then there's no problem. Perhaps Jiang Liuxue was too conceited. Our Grand Prince Palace can take first place. Jiang Haixing couldn't believe his ears when he said this. Did I hear it wrong? The Grand Prince Palace can take first place? One had to know that the Northern Mansion had a total of 576 points. How could the Grand Prince Palace surpass them? Jiang Haixing stood there in a daze, not knowing what to say for a moment. The other dragon warriors from the Grand Lord's mansion behind him were also dumbfounded, each of them wondering if they had heard wrongly or if Jiang Yuaning was joking. But how could Jiang Yuaning joke about something like this? Furthermore, they had all become dragon martialists, so it was impossible for them to have heard it wrong. Jiang Yuaning had indeed said that our sect palace would be able to get the first place. This time, Jiang Yuaning and Kang Xinmu had joined forces and killed an unknown number of earth demon beasts. Although they had gotten lucky most of the time, such as when the fanged hounds and the green apes had fought, they had obtained more than 170 demon cores. In the end, the two of them had tallied up the total number of earth demon cores they had obtained, adding up to a total of 522 points. Just 522 points was not enough for the Grand Prince Palace to surpass the Northern Mansion. But don't forget that although Jiang Haixing and the others had not obtained many points, they still had 66 points, which added up to a total of 588 points. In this way, the Grand Prince's manor would definitely be number one. Only Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning knew about this. The two had just returned and were preparing to take a break. There was no need to spread the news. After all, the Jiang clan would announce the results of the 5 prefectures after they finished counting. 4,000? The main thing was that there were still people who hadn't returned yet, so it wasn't easy to calculate the total score. However, Kang Xinmu knew that some people were destined to never return from the Sky Exorcism Forest. For example, Jiang Cheng, who had obtained the inheritance of the Thunder Slayer True Dragon. For example, Jiang Qingyun's subordinates, the Emerald Rock Dragon and the Clear Wave Water Dragon. One of Jiang Qiue's lackeys had also been killed by the bone-piercing winter spider. Then, Kang Xinmu had devoured the dragon's bones. It could be said that there was nothing left of the lackey. Yo, isn't this everyone from the Grand Prince's palace? What's wrong? What are you all standing there for? Your people should be out by now, right? At this time, a dragon warrior from the northern prefecture came before them and sneered. Especially when he looked at Kang Xinmu, there was a sense of superiority in his eyes. In the past, they had always been suppressed by Kang Xinmu. After all, Kang Xinmu was a genius. He had stepped into the Dragon Ascension realm at a young age. It could be said that he had broken the Jiang clan's record for the past 100 years. And ever since Kang Xinmu had obtained the legacy of a mortal dragon, these people had constantly made fun of Kang Xinmu. When they thought about how Jiang Xinwu, who was once a genius, could only obtain the inheritance of a mortal dragon, they couldn't stop laughing. Not to mention that the North Prefecture was basically the #1 demon-slaying experiential training. Every single one of them from the North Prefecture could obtain the best dragon martial technique. This made them all very happy. Even Jiang Qiue was the same. Although the bone-piercing winter spiders had scared him out, he didn't care. After all, with Jiang Liuxue around, the Northern Prefecture would always be #1. Jiang Qiue also walked over to the Grand Prince's palace and clicked her tongue. How was the result? Our little genius, such a young dragon warrior, you must have had a good time in the demon-slaying experience, right? In my opinion, instead of coming out to hunt demon beasts, it's better for a brat to go home and drink his mother's milk. Kang Xinmu looked on coldly from the sidelines. He couldn't be bothered with these guys. After the demon-slaying experiences scores were tallied, these guys would be shocked. As for now, Kang Xinmu had better have a good rest. After all, he and Jiang Yuaning had fought continuously for 3 days and 3 nights. Although they had swallowed some earth demon cores to maintain their energy, they still needed some rest. You can leave. You're not welcome here. Jiang Haixing stood in front of Jiang Yuaning and Kang Xinmu. Although he didn't believe that the Grand Prince's palace could take first place, he couldn't just watch as they bullied their own people. Even if it was Jiang Qiue, the true dragon's successor, with so many seniors of the Jiang clan nearby, Jiang Qiue wouldn't dare do anything. Hee, your results are so bad that you don't even dare to speak. Coward. After saying that, Jiang Qiue ridiculed Kang Xinmu with disdain and turned to leave. Kang Xinmu looked at Jiang Qiue's departing figure and secretly shook his head. For a person like her, even if she had obtained the true dragon's blood essence, her final achievements wouldn't be that great. She had her eyes on the top of her head and considered everyone beneath her. She mainly came to cause trouble for no reason. It was fine in the Jiang clan, but in the outside world, she probably wouldn't even know how she died. Of course, Kang Xinmu couldn't be bothered to argue with such a mentally retarded person. All his thoughts were focused on the expressions and actions of the surrounding elders of the Jiang clan because Jiang Cheng had been killed by him. Jiang Yuaning also knew this. At this moment, the two of them were paying special attention to the expressions of the surrounding people. Although the possibility of someone finding out that he was the one who killed Jiang Cheng was extremely low, there was always a chance. Who knows, he might really be found out. At that time, Jiang Xinwu could only think of a more reasonable excuse. Furthermore, the demon-slaying experience points for killing his own Jiang clan members would be nullified. There was no need to even think about the dragon martial technique. Although Jiang Cheng had taken the initiative to kill Kang Xinmu, now that Jiang Cheng was the one who died, the survivors would ultimately be punished. Looking at the situation, it should be impossible to find out. Moreover, in this demon-slaying experience, more than 10 people died. Jiang Cheng was only one of them. Although he's the true dragon's successor, even if they wanted to investigate, it would be impossible to find me. Chapter 38-41. More and more people started to discuss the deaths of those who'd perished during the demon-slaying expedition. Among them were 2 of Jiang Qingyun's lackeys, 1 of Jiang Qiue's lackeys, and Jiang Cheng, who had yet to appear. More and more people suspected that Jiang Cheng still hadn't appeared until now. Could it be that he had died in Heaven Drive Forest? Although the possibility of this was very small, it was still possible. Even if one was an inheritor of the true dragon blood essence, it was still possible for them to die in the Heaven Drive Forest. However, with how powerful the inheritors of the true dragon race were, they would definitely be able to crush the burning explosion scroll and call for reinforcements if their lives were truly in danger. So how did they die just like that? I know Jiang Cheng. If he's facing death, he definitely won't care about his face or the points he earned from killing monsters. That's right. Could it be that there was a huge accident? Did he encounter some extremely powerful demon beast? I don't know. There has never been a case of a true dragon successor dying during the demon-slaying training grounds. Let's wait and see. It might still be happening. Many people were discussing about Jiang Cheng, but it was obvious that Jiang Cheng would never appear in front of them again. Soon, an expert of the Jiang clan came out of the Heaven Drive Forest, dragging the skeleton of an ordinary dragon. His face was extremely gloomy. These were the bones of an emerald rock dragon. When Kang Xinmu saw this, he immediately thought of the emerald rock dragon, who was Jiang Qingyun's subordinate. At that time, Kang Shinmu had lured a group of backstab boars. The backstab boars had chased after the Emerald Rock Dragon, causing it to be heavily injured and unable to move within the sky-dry forest. Kang Shinmu had ignored it. Now, he found out that the other party was dead. The Emerald Rock Dragon was heavily injured alone in the Heaven-dry forest. It couldn't even crush the flame explosion scroll, so it could only be eaten by the other earth demons that had come after smelling the scent of blood. Quite a number of rookies have died in this demon-slaying training ground. It looks like there's a need to teach them a lesson and let them know that their lives are more important than anything else. The important figures of the Jiang clan gathered together, their faces extremely ugly. So far, the number of people they had confirmed to be dead had already reached 8. In addition, there were still 6 people who had not come out of the heavenly dry forest. These 6 people included Jiang Cheng, the guy who was killed by Kang Shinmu and obtained the inheritance of the Thunder Slayer True Dragon. If all 6 of them died, they would have lost 14 people this time. This was something that had never happened in the previous demon-slaying adventures. In the bone-piercing winter spider's accident, 5 people should have died. 3 divine dragon skeletons were found nearby, but the strange thing is that 2 of the skeletons couldn't be found. Logically speaking, demonic beasts shouldn't be able to deal with the divine dragon bones of dragon warriors. Someone said. After all, Qingbo Water Dragon and one of Jiang Qiue's subordinates had died near the bone-piercing winter spider, but their corpses couldn't be found. This was a bit strange, and the whole matter was shrouded in mystery. More and more divine dragon skeletons were dragged out of the heavenly dry forest. Kang Shinmu watched from the side, listening to their discussions. His expression did not change. His mental fortitude could be said to be extremely strong, and he would not give himself away because of such a small discussion. But Jiang Yuaning seemed a bit nervous. She knew that it was Kang Shinmu who devoured Jiang Cheng's skeleton and killed him. And the 2 dragon skeletons that disappeared from the bone-piercing winter spider should also be the work of Kang Shinmu? However, Jiang Yuaning did not look at Kang Shinmu, which made Kang Shinmu secretly nod. Although this woman was nervous, she still had mental fortitude. Jiang Yuaning was very clear that although Jiang Cheng was the one who attacked Kang Shinmu first, the one who died was Jiang Cheng. If it was announced, Kang Shinmu would definitely be severely punished. Even if it was not for herself, but for the entire princely palace, Jiang Yuaning would not divulge this matter. If Kang Shinmu were to be punished, those Earth Fey cores would definitely not be obtained normally. Then the princely palace would not be able to obtain first place in the demon-slaying trial. It was even possible that they would end up in last place. Until late in the morning, an unconscious mortal dragon inheritor was finally found and brought out of the heavenly dry forest. If it had been any later, this guy would have become food for the demon beasts. As a result, including those who had disappeared, the Jiang clan had lost a total of 13 geniuses of the younger generation in the demon-slaying expedition. Among them was a true dragon successor, Jiang Cheng. At this moment, the people of the southern residence were in an uproar, especially Jiang Cheng's father, who was an elder of the southern residence. No matter what, even if they are dead, we must find their skeletons. But the results of this demon-slaying trial should be announced soon. The elders of the Jiang clan's prince's palace said in a bad mood. Not only had so many people died during the demon-slaying experiential training, but the Grand Prince Palace's results had also been terrible. They still didn't know how many points Jiang Yuaning had obtained, but even if Jiang Yuaning performed normally, the Grand Prince Palace would only rank second from the bottom among the 5 prefectures. Would the dead Jiang Cheng's southern residence be worse than the princely palace? Even if a true dragon inheritor had died, such a major event had occurred. But the demon-slaying trial's progress? 4,000? It had to continue. The announcement of the rankings was a must, followed by the rewards. According to the rankings, the people would be allowed to choose a dragon martial technique to cultivate. As for the deaths, no one would think that it was done by one of their own. It was most likely the work of the demon-slaying trial. Therefore, this matter could be discussed later. The most important thing was the ranking of the demon-slaying trial. This was what the living cared about the most. Come up and hand over the Fey cores. We will be in charge of the statistics. The elders of the 5 residences went to the center of the crowd and said to the new dragon martial artists in all directions. Everyone stepped forward and handed over all the earth demons' beast cores that they had obtained. Among the 5 manors, each mansion would collect the beast cores obtained by their juniors. Before this, the elders who collected the beast cores would be inspected, so it was impossible to cheat in this process. The elders of the 5 residences collected the Fey cores. Soon, the expressions of the 2 elders of the princely palace became extremely interesting. They had originally thought that the princely palace's results would be very bad. But as Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning came forward and handed over the hundreds of Fey cores, their expressions changed rapidly. How did these 2 obtain so many Fey cores? This was illogical. When the 2 of them handed over 300 demon cores, the faces of the 2 elders were filled with utter shock. Chapter 38-42. When Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning finally produced a total of more than 500 demon cores, the 2 elders from the palace did not know what to say. What? How was this possible? Even Jiang Liuxue, the Sky Dragon's inheritor, had only obtained 412 points. How could Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning combine their scores to reach a terrifying 522 points? The 2 elders kept sizing up Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning. No matter how they looked at it, the 2 of them were only inheritors of a mortal dragon and a true dragon respectively. Even if they combined their scores, it was impossible for them to surpass the other true dragons by 3 or 4 times. Moreover, they were even stronger than the Sky Dragon. The 2 elders from the palace had witnessed Jiang Yuaning's combat strength and knew the level of her strength. Therefore, it was impossible for there to be any variables. In that case, the variable was Kang Xinmu. After all, although Kang Xinmu had only obtained the inheritance of a mortal dragon, his talent of reaching the ascending dragon realm at the age of 15 was still extremely dazzling. Therefore, it was impossible for people not to notice him. Tell me in detail, how did you obtain these demon cores? Although the results of the Supreme Prince's mansion would be quite good, the 2 elders still followed their strict principles and asked the 2 of them. They had to get to the bottom of the matter. Otherwise, it would be hard to explain if the other 4 manors became suspicious. Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning exchanged glances. Just as they were about to speak, a sharp voice came from the side, "Wait." Everyone turned towards the source of the voice and saw that it was a female elder from the North Manor. This elder was Jiang Liuxue's senior. She immediately sensed that something was amiss when she saw that there were so many earth demon cores in the Grand Supreme Manor. After her sharp voice, she ran over with her men and pointed at Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning. Did the 2 of them obtain these demon cores together? Then we'll have to question them separately and see if they are telling the same story. What is this? Are you interrogating a criminal? Jiang Yuaning could not help but snort coldly. We put in so much effort to slay the demons and obtain these demon cores, but we have to hand them over to the tribe. Now you're interrogating us because of these demon cores. Isn't this too outrageous? Everyone felt that Jiang Yuaning's words made sense. It was just a demon-slaying trial. Although it was important, it was too much to use this method to interrogate a criminal. This was especially true for Jiang Haisheng and the others from the Supreme King's palace. Every single one of them was filled with righteous indignation. I'd like to ask, what method did you use to cheat in the Heaven Drive Forest to obtain so many Earth Demon cores? Yes, we're suspecting of cheating. Otherwise, how could you have killed more demon cores than Liuxue? The Northern Residence's female elder said coldly as she glanced suspiciously at Jiang Shenwu and Jiang Yuaning. Jiang Qinghua, don't be so unreasonable. The 2 elders from the Grand Prince's mansion spoke up as well. As for how they got their beast cores, that's for us to handle. It has nothing to do with you. If you're interested, you can come and listen, but don't even think about getting involved. Our Jiang clan has never had such a rule. The female elder of the northern mansion named Jiang Qinghua's face immediately darkened. Jiang Liuxue and the others from the North Manor followed suit, as did the people from the other 4 manors. They had all seen how many Yao cores the elder from the king's manor possessed. It was very likely that the outcome of the demon-slaying expedition would be rewritten. Therefore, everyone wanted to pay attention to the situation here. Jiang Liuxue's posture was calm as she coldly stood to the side. She sized up Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuning with a complicated look in her eyes. She had never imagined that the 2 of them would obtain so many Yao cores. They had been too careless. Jiang Liuxue did not try to find the reason, nor did she expect them to have cheated. No matter what, when she saw Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuning take out so many Yao cores, Jiang Liuxue had already begun to reflect on herself. She had relied on her unparalleled strength and the mentality that others could not surpass her to participate in the demon-slaying trial. During the demon-slaying training, she only chose the leaders of the demonic beasts to hunt. She didn't chase after the weaker demonic beasts that escaped, because she didn't care about them. But in reality, if she chased after them, every time she killed a demonic beast leader, her harvest of demonic cores would at least double. In that case, regardless of whether Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuning had cheated, she, Jiang Liuxue, would still be first. This was a wake-up call for Jiang Liuxue. This was only her first time transforming into a dragon, and it was not a dangerous demon-slaying trial. Although it would affect the selection of dragon techniques, in truth, for a heavenly dragon inheritor like Jiang Liuxue, it would not have much of an impact on her future development. After all, the distribution of dragon techniques was not limited to the demon-slaying trial. In the future, the Jiang clan would issue many missions. With Jiang Liuxue's strength, she could easily find another opportunity to obtain the best dragon techniques. This reminder is not bad. Jiang Liuxue thought to herself. She did not blame Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuning, but instead felt grateful. If she had been careless during the demon-slaying trial, there was still a chance to make up for it. But if she had been careless during a critical mission in the future, it would not only affect her cultivation of dragon techniques, it would affect her life. On the side of the 2 elders of the Grand Prince's mansion, the female elder of the North Mansion, Jiang Qinghua, still had no say. Although she wanted Jiang Xinwu and Jiang Yuning to talk about their experiences separately, she did not have the authority to arrange this matter. After all, the elders of the Grand Prince's palace might be suspicious, but they were still on their side. How could they sit back and watch as Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuning were bullied by outsiders? Then, under the watchful eyes of more than 100 people, Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuning began to talk about their experiences during the demon-slaying trial. The key points were the bone-piercing winter spiders, as well as the battle between the fanged hound and the green ape. These 2 experiences made everyone gasp in amazement. As for how the 2 of them joined forces to kill the 4th, 5th, and even 6th bone-piercing winter spiders, Kang Xinmu used the excuse of creating a trap. With Jiang Yuning's battle power, they were able to continuously kill the bone-piercing winter spiders. She said it lightly, but everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard it. Chapter 38-43. There were still some doubtful points, but Kang Xinmu said, "If you still have doubts, I can't say anything more, because there are some things related to my innate ability that I can't tell you." This was something that everyone understood. A dragon warrior's innate ability was related to their core fighting style. If people knew about it, it would certainly not be a good thing for Kang Xinmu. Some of the innate talents of the dragon warriors were extremely conspicuous, such as flames, lightning, and so on. These powers were not important to say, but about a third of the dragon warriors' innate talents would be relatively special. These innate talents of the dragon warriors, unless they fought against them, basically no one would know what their innate talents were. And Kang Xinmu's words were so obscure that it made some people suspicious. For example, Jiang Qingyun. Jiang Qingyun had seen the 150-foot-long black dragon. Now that he saw Kang Xinmu's secretive words, he was very suspicious. Could that black dragon be Kang Xinmu? However, he could only suspect it. It was impossible for him to stand up and testify. After all, even if that black dragon was Kang Shinmu, so what? That black dragon didn't attack him and didn't violate the rules, so proving it was useless. However, Jiang Qingyun still took this matter to heart and secretly decided to investigate this matter in the future. There was definitely something wrong with this Kang Shinmu. However, as Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning talked about the battle between the bone-piercing winter spider and the fanged hound green apes, the others didn't have so many doubts about how they could obtain so many demon cores. On the contrary, many people sighed at their wit. When the bone-piercing winter spider appeared, the majority of the people, such as Jiang Qingyun and Jiang Qiyue, fled for their lives. But Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning had the courage to do the opposite. Wealth came from danger, and they took the risk to kill the bone-piercing winter spider. Moreover, they followed the fanged hound demon beast clan until they fought against the green ape demon beast clan. In the end, they would be the fishermen who reaped the benefits. However, such a chance was really too small. Not to mention 3 days, even if they stayed in Heaven Drive Forest for 30 days, they might not be able to wait for such an opportunity. The others couldn't help but feel that Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning were really lucky. But even so, it couldn't hide the fact that the two of them were definitely very strong. Otherwise, whether it was the bone-piercing winter spider, the fanged hound, or the green ape, the two of them wouldn't have been able to get away with it. After all, those demonic beasts were not retarded. They would not let Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning deal with them. The two of them definitely had a lot of tricks up their sleeves. As for Kang Shinmu's innate talent, it became a doubtful point. Many people secretly guessed in their hearts, but unfortunately, these people couldn't guess it no matter what. After explaining the matter, the two elders of the Grand Prince's mansion nodded in approval. You know how to use the environment to find opportunities. Not bad at all. This time's demon-slaying experience let me see that our Grand Prince's mansion still has a rising star. One of the elders nodded, then shook his head and said, Jiang Shenwu, your father is our Jiang clan's patriarch. As his son, it's not bad for you to have such achievements. But it's a pity. He's gone missing, and you're far from maturing. We still need to choose a new patriarch. That's right. Currently, there are many tribes around the Jiang tribe that are ready to make trouble. The other southern resident's elder nodded and said solemnly, it's time to choose a new patriarch. 10 years have passed, and the power of the red-horned demon dragon Jiang Longjun has passed. The surrounding fellows think that our Jiang tribe is easy to bully, and have provoked us time and time again. It's time to teach them a lesson. Speaking of this, the surrounding people were filled with righteous indignation. In the face of external enemies, the people of the Jiang tribe were able to unite against a common enemy. This made the two elders of the Grand Prince's mansion look at each other and heave a sigh of relief. The mention of the Jiang tribe's patriarch and the surrounding tribe's arrogance was deliberately done by the two Grand Prince's mansion elders. It was not to anger Kang Shinmu, but to deliberately change the topic. They wanted people to shift their attention away from Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning. Otherwise, if the two of them were to receive too much attention, it might have a negative impact on them and bring about harm to them. Jiang tribe, Grand Prince's mansion. Almost everyone had returned from the Drive Heavens forest. Only those whose bones were buried in the Drive Heavens forest could not return. However, there were still many people searching for Jiang Cheng's whereabouts in the Drive Heavens forest, and the number of people searching was not small. One had to know that the true dragon's inheritor was very important to the Jiang tribe. Jiang Cheng had died, so they had to find him no matter what, even if it was just a corpse. Unfortunately, no matter what, they could not find any traces of Jiang Cheng. Kang Shinmu did not give himself away. Together with Jiang Yuning, they returned to the Grand Prince's mansion under the escort of the other dragon warriors of the Grand Prince's mansion. Of course, people paid the most attention to Jiang Yuning. After all, Kang Shinmu was only a mortal dragon's inheritor. His future potential was limited. Under Kang Shinmu's idea, Jiang Yuning came up with the idea of hunting demon beasts. As for Kang Shinmu, he was just a lackey that was slightly more powerful than an ordinary mortal dragon's inheritor. Under such circumstances, the possibility of Kang Shinmu being noticed was extremely small. No one connected him with the disappearance of Jiang Cheng and the others. After returning to the Grand Prince's mansion, it was time to announce the ranking of the demon-slaying training. Without a doubt, the Grand Prince's mansion was the same as usual. They were still first among the 5 mansions. This made everyone's eyes pop out. Why was the Grand Prince's mansion so fierce this time? After returning to the Grand Prince's mansion, many dragon warrior seniors who had transformed into dragons came to the plaza and listened to the elders announce the ranking of the 5 mansions. The originally arrogant Northern Mansion dragon warriors stared with their eyes wide open when they heard that the Grand Prince's mansion had obtained first place. They had never thought that Jiang Liuxue would lose to Jiang Yuaning and Kang Shinmu of the Grand Prince's mansion. However, after hearing others describe the process of Jiang Yuaning and Kang Shinmu's demon-slaying training, they understood why such an outcome had occurred. Tisk, it's all luck. Participants who rely on luck are really disgusting. That's right, what's there to say about luck? Whether it was the sudden appearance of the bone-piercing winter spider, or the fight between the fanged hound and the green ape, none of them proved their strength. Besides, Jiang Liuxue didn't use his full strength. Otherwise, no matter how lucky they were, it would be impossible for them to obtain first place. However, Jiang Shenwu did not pay attention to the discussions of the others. Instead, he prepared to choose a dragon. Edad. Chapter 38-44. All of the Jiang tribe's dragon martial skills were hidden in a tower in the Grand Sovereign Palace. However, to open the tower, one needed the agreement of at least 3 out of the 5 palaces, and the 3 keys added together. Therefore, it was relatively difficult to obtain a dragon martial skill during normal times. Only during this demon-slaying experiential training could one obtain a dragon martial skill more easily. Moreover, all the newly transformed dragon martial artists of the demon-slaying experiential training could go to the 5th floor of the tower to choose a dragon martial skill. Kang Shinmu, Jiang Yuaning, Jiang Haisheng, and the other dragon warriors from the Grand Sovereign Palace all excitedly leaped to the 5th floor of the tower. The people from the other 4 palaces looked at the people from the Grand Sovereign Palace with envy, especially the people from the Northern Palace. Originally, the first place of the demon-slaying experience was undoubtedly theirs, but because Jiang Liuxue did not use her full strength, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had the chance to surpass them. This caused many of the dragon warriors from the Northern Palace to have some opinions about Jiang Liuxue. Of course, they could not voice out their opinions. They could only think about it in their hearts. After all, Jiang Liuxue's future would not be bad. At the very least, she would become an elder of the Northern Palace. If she became the Northern Palace Lord, it would be even more amazing. Therefore, even if there were people who had opinions about Jiang Liuxue, they could not bring it up now. The people from the Northern Palace could head to the 4th floor to choose a dragon martial skill. In the Yen Dragon Emperor's court, dragon martial skills were divided into 9 grades. The weakest was the 9th grade dragon martial skill, all the way to the 1st grade dragon martial skill. Every grade of dragon martial skill increased the difference in power. Even the first place of the demon-slaying experience could not obtain a 1st grade dragon martial skill, but a 5th grade dragon martial skill. The last place could only obtain a 9th grade dragon martial skill. The difference was too great. If the difference in power between each grade of dragon martial skill was half, then the power of a 5th grade dragon martial skill would be at least 2 to 3 times stronger than a 9th grade dragon martial skill. This was the difference. Of course, even if Jiang Liuxue had only obtained a 6th grade dragon martial skill, when she used it, it would not be any weaker than the 5th grade dragon martial skill of anyone in the Grand Supreme Palace. After all, she was the inheritor of the Heavenly Dragon's blood essence. The innate ability of the mysterious Sky Jade Fire Dragon alone was enough for her to suppress everyone. Be it Kang Shinmu or Jiang Yuaning, none of them were her match. However, could he let it go? 10,072. To Kang Shinmu, it was already a great success to be able to cultivate the dragon martial technique to the 6th grade. Kang Shinmu's first goal was naturally to surpass Jiang Liushue, but this goal was not so easy to achieve, at least it was impossible to achieve in one go. To surpass Jiang Liushue, the dragon martial skill was only a small aspect. Most importantly, Kang Shinmu had to go out and kill and devour more dragon warriors. If he stayed in the Jiang tribal clan, Kang Shinmu would not be able to find such an opportunity. Besides, he did not want to attack his own people, but if he went out, many of the more vicious dragon warriors would appear in front of him. For example, some dragon warriors would rob others on the road. Kang Shinmu did not feel the slightest bit of pressure dealing with them. Of course, the premise was that Kang Shinmu had enough strength to deal with them. So it was very important to choose a suitable dragon martial skill. As Kang Shinmu's innate ability was the power of devouring, there was definitely no such thing as a dragon martial skill that used the power of devouring. It was best if he could cultivate in a dragon martial skill that strengthened the dragon warrior's divine dragon body. In the 5th level of the dragon martial skill tower, Kang Shinmu saw at least 10 regions for dragon martial skills. Each region had a dragon martial skill that was suitable for different innate abilities. Jiang Yuaning went straight to the region where the heaven and earth powers were placed. She wanted to find a dragon martial skill that was specifically powered by the power of the moon. As for the others, some chose the dragon martial skill with the power of lightning, some chose the dragon martial skill with the power of ice. They chose the dragon martial skill according to their talent. Basically, everyone would be able to obtain at least one dragon martial skill that was suitable for them. Now, everyone could choose 3 dragon martial skills to cultivate. Kang Shinmu came to a region that few people paid attention to, and started to choose the dragon martial skill. The dragon martial skills in this region were all body-refining dragon martial skills that strengthened the divine dragon body. After cultivating, it could make the divine dragon incarnation's physique stronger and more resistant to beatings. Of course, ordinary dragon martial artists would not cultivate such dragon martial skills. After all, most dragon martial artists focused on attacking. If they cultivated this kind of body-refining dragon martial skill, they would rarely be able to use it. At that time, even if they could not use their innate ability, just by relying on the strengthened divine dragon body, they would not be able to withstand the attacks of other dragon martial skills. However, Kang Shinmu had no other choice. His power of devouring required his body to be strong. Otherwise, before he could finish devouring the opponent's flesh and blood, he would not be able to hold on. A body-refining type dragon martial skill, and a body movement type dragon martial skill? There's still one more, I'll take my time to choose. Before coming here, Kang Shinmu had already thought about what kind of dragon martial skill he needed, so he directly came here to take a look. The dragon martial skills on this level were all 5th grade dragon martial skills. If he did not have a suitable innate ability, he could also go to the next level to choose a 6th grade dragon martial skill. After all, compared to the grade of the dragon martial skill, the most important thing was suitable. Thunder, ice, flame, these kinds of innate ability were relatively common and could be found on the 5th level. However, like Jiang Yuaning's moonlight power, there was no special dragon martial skill on this level. There were only similar dragon martial skills, but the effect was not very good. It was better to see if there was a more suitable 6th grade dragon martial skill. But Kang Shinmu did not have this problem. Although there were not many people who cultivated the body-refining dragon martial skill, there were indeed people of all grades. The 5th grade body-refining dragon martial skill was much stronger than the 6th grade body-refining dragon martial skill. Iron Blood Dragon Body. A 5th grade body-refining dragon martial skill. Its introduction was that it could use a special method to smelt the dragon's blood, and then use the dragon's blood to make the entire divine dragon's body as hard as steel. After mastering it, it could at least double the divine dragon's body's resistance. Moreover, after smelting the dragon's blood, it could also promote the growth of the innate ability in the body. No matter what kind of innate ability, it would be improved. Although the improvement was not much, it was very important to Kang Shinmu. Sky-piercing dragon shadow. This was a movement technique dragon martial skill. Its introduction was that it could burst out with unparalleled speed in a short period of time, and instantly get close to the opponent or escape. Although the speed increase effect could not last long, the instantaneous burst of speed was still very useful to Kang Shinmu. Relying on the devouring power, as long as he chased after the opponent and continued to devour, he would be able to eliminate the opponent. Chapter 38-45. Everyone could choose 3 types of dragon martial techniques. Other than the iron blood dragon physique and the void-piercing dragon shadow, Kang Shinmu began to look at the other types of dragon martial techniques. He had no idea what type of dragon martial technique he should cultivate. After all, he didn't know much about dragon martial techniques in the past, and this was the first time he saw so many dragon martial techniques in front of him. He slowly searched for the dragon martial techniques. As for the other young dragon martial artists who chose dragon martial techniques on this level, they were all young geniuses from the Grand Supreme Palace, and they had a whole new level of respect for both Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuning. Of course, the most important thing was still Jiang Yuning. In their eyes, Jiang Yuning was the biggest reason why the Grand Supreme Palace could get first place. As for Kang Shinmu, he could only be considered a follower at most. Now, these people were secretly discussing, wishing that they were the follower, so that they could get closer to Jiang Yuning. However, these people didn't think that if they were with Jiang Yuning, would they really be able to kill so many earth demons? If it was possible, to be honest, Jiang Yuning wouldn't need them as followers, she could do it alone. However, these people were unwilling to admit, or rather, they didn't realize that Kang Shinmu, who was also a mortal dragon's inheritor, was stronger than them. At this moment, many people were observing the dragon martial techniques Kang Shinmu chose. They were originally curious about what type of divine dragon talent Kang Shinmu had comprehended, but they couldn't find an answer. Now, from the dragon martial techniques Kang Shinmu chose, they should be able to see something, right? Many people saw the 2 dragon martial techniques in Kang Shinmu's hands, the iron blood dragon physique and the void-piercing dragon shadow. The latter was still acceptable, after all, it was a movement-type dragon martial technique, and many ordinary dragon martial artists would cultivate it. However, the former was a little strange. Iron blood dragon physique, such a body-tempering type dragon martial technique, would anyone really cultivate it? Many people were confused. To be honest, even if a mortal dragon's inheritor cultivated the iron blood dragon's body to its peak, the dragon's body would not be as strong as a true dragon's. After all, the true dragon bloodline was an even more powerful divine dragon. They were born with extremely strong dragon bodies, even surpassing the inheritors of mortal dragons who had cultivated some body-tempering dragon martial arts. This made these young dragon warriors look down on Kang Shinmu. Originally, they had some doubts. Perhaps Kang Shinmu had some powerful innate ability that allowed him to be with Jiang Yuning and shine in the demon-slaying experience. But now, it seemed that Kang Shinmu's innate ability was extremely weak. Otherwise, why would he need to cultivate this kind of body-tempering dragon martial skill? Kang Shinmu did not care about these people's opinions. Instead, he strolled around the palace alone, choosing all kinds of dragon martial skills. On the 5th floor of the martial skill tower, there were more than 1,000 5th-grade dragon martial skills. Of course, more than half of them were duplicates. For example, there were more than 20 dragon martial skills that Kang Shinmu had chosen, and they were all replicas. In terms of types, there were less than 120 dragon martial skills on the 5th floor. That was why these dragon martial skills were so precious. Kang Shinmu strolled around for a while, his mind wavering between the 3 dragon martial skills. After a while, he finally made up his mind and chose one of the dragon martial skills. Iron blood dragon physique strengthened Kang Shinmu's dragon body's defense, allowing him to last longer in battle. Air-piercing dragon shadow greatly increased Kang Shinmu's mobility, allowing him to attack and defend at the same time. It was definitely a dragon martial skill that must be cultivated. And the 3rd dragon martial skill that he chose was Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, Roaring Sky Dragon Claw. This was undoubtedly an attack-type dragon martial skill. However, generally speaking, very few dragon martial artists would choose this dragon martial skill. Therefore, in the entire 5th floor, there were only 2 books of this Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, and very few people would choose this dragon martial skill. The name of this dragon martial skill sounded very domineering, but in fact, it was not very useful. After cultivating Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, it could strengthen the dragon claw of the divine dragon body, making the dragon claw's destructive power multiply. However, generally speaking, which dragon martial artist would use hand-to-hand combat? Basically, it was a confrontation of innate power. No matter how strong the dragon claw was, in the face of tyrannical innate power, it would not even be able to get close, not to mention using the dragon claw to deal with the enemy. Dragon martial artists' strongest point was their innate power. There was no doubt about this point. It was the same for Kang Shinmu. However, his innate power did not have a special dragon martial skill to activate, nor could he cultivate a special dragon martial skill to strengthen it. If he wanted to exert the effect of the devouring power, he could only choose dragon martial skills like Iron Blood Dragon Body and Roaring Sky Dragon Claw. Soon, Jiang Yuaning came up from the 4th floor. In her hands, she also chose a dragon martial skill that specialized in the power of the moon. Kang Shinmu, have you chosen? Jiang Yuaning asked curiously when she saw the 3 dragon martial skills in his hands. Jiang Yuaning knew about his innate power. Therefore, Kang Shinmu generously took out the 3 dragon martial skills for her to see. Very good. These 3 dragon martial skills are more suitable for you to cultivate. Jiang Yuaning's eyes lit up at a glance. She knew that Kang Shinmu had chosen the most suitable one. Although these dragon martial skills were relatively unpopular, did Kang Shinmu need to cultivate any popular dragon martial skill? Of course not. The devouring power was a tyrannical innate power that no one possessed. Jiang Yuaning had never even heard of it. She had kept it a secret for Kang Shinmu. Jiang Yuaning was very clear that with this innate power, Kang Shinmu would be able to reach great heights in the future. However, she was still very worried. She was afraid that Kang Shinmu would walk down the wrong path. After all, the ability to devour the divine dragon's body was too powerful. If he could not control himself, it would definitely be a great threat to the entire Jiang tribe, and even the entire Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty and the entire world. Do your best. Kang Shinmu nodded to Jiang Yuaning and said solemnly. This time, the people from the Grand Supreme Palace had chosen the best dragon martial skills. Although they could not enter the 6th floor, their starting point was already higher than the young geniuses from the other 4 palaces. If they were to develop in the future and still not be a match for the other 4 palaces, then it would be quite embarrassing. Therefore, whether it was Kang Shinmu or Jiang Yuaning, or the others, they had to work harder. Although Jiang Yuaning had settled for the 2nd best and chose the 4th floor's lower-grade dragon martial skill, it was very suitable for her. As for what dragon martial skill it was, Kang Shinmu did not ask. Anyway, it was a dragon martial skill that was suitable for activating the power of the moon. It could bring out Jiang Yuaning's strength to the maximum. What followed next was a period of immersion in cultivation. Chapter 3846. Jiang Clan, Grand Prince's Mansion. In a cultivation tower's cultivation room, Kang Shinmu sat cross-legged by himself, absorbing the spiritual energy condensed by the arrays in the cultivation tower to improve his cultivation. It had been some time since he reached the 1st layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, and his body had already accumulated a lot of spiritual energy. If he wanted to reach the 2nd layer, it would only be a matter of time. This cultivation tower could only be entered by the dragon warriors of the Jiang clan, and dragon warriors of the Dragon Ascension realm could only stay on the 1st floor. Even Kang Shinmu was the same. This was the rule of the clan. And the speed of spiritual energy condensing in the cultivation room on the 1st floor was obviously not as fast as that of the higher floors. Even compared to the 2nd floor, it was only half as fast. But for Kang Shinmu, this did not have a big impact. Because of his natural special physique, his rate of absorption of spiritual energy was much faster than others. Many dragon warriors who had just achieved dragon transformation did not even have the time to completely absorb the spiritual energy in the cultivation room on the first floor. But for Kang Shinmu, he could absorb as much as he could. This was also the biggest reason why he could reach the Dragon Ascension realm at the age of 15. Even if he cultivated in the outside world, his cultivation speed was about the same as others in the cultivation room on the first floor. The reason for this, Kang Shinmu naturally did not know, but it was most likely due to his physique, which allowed him to cultivate faster than others since he was young. This was what people called talent. According to this speed, in half a month, I will be able to step into the second layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. Kang Shinmu was very satisfied with his cultivation progress. Every dragon warrior had 6 hours of time to cultivate in the cultivation room, and Kang Shinmu was no exception. And in the rest of the time, Kang Shinmu would spend 6 hours cultivating at home, and then spend another 6 hours cultivating the 3 dragon martial skills that he had just obtained. Finally, the remaining 6 hours would be spent sleeping and resting. Seeing Kang Shinmu's strength constantly improving, and knowing that Kang Shinmu had obtained so many points in the demon-slaying experience, Kang Shinmu's mother Gu Yuero was deeply gratified. She knew that Kang Shinmu's talent was good, but with the disappearance of Jiang Longjun, Kang Shinmu's cultivation resources were constantly squeezed out. Even the cultivation resources that Jiang Zizai left behind before he disappeared were all taken by Kang Shinmu's uncle Jiang Rong. Everyone knew what it was for. It was for his son, Jiang Juanma. He had forcefully turned Jiang Juanma into a true dragon inheritor that was considered pretty good among the younger generation. It should be known that the medicinal pills left behind by Jiang Zizai all contained incomparably rich spiritual energy. If they were given to Jiang Shinwu, it would definitely be enough for him to soar to the third layer of the Dragon Ascension realm in a short time. But for this, whether it was Kang Shinmu or Gu Yuero, they could only feel helpless. Now that Jiang Zizai had disappeared, Jiang Rong and a few other elders controlled the entire Jiang clan's palace. Kang Shinmu and Gu Yuero could not say anything. Many elders had even announced that they would soon elect a new patriarch. As usual, the position of patriarch would be held by someone from the palace, and the most likely candidate was still Jiang Rong. But for this, Kang Shinmu did not pay much attention. He only understood a little bit. Apart from that, his original goal had not changed, which was to work hard to improve himself, obtain a stronger cultivation, find Jiang Zizai, and let his mother, Gu Yuero, live a better life. For these two goals, Kang Shinmu worked hard all the time. Because of this, he risked his life in the heaven-driving forest. In the eyes of others, even if they encountered an opportunity like Kang Shinmu's, they would not dare to grasp it, because it was too dangerous. If they were not careful, they would lose their lives. For example, when the bone-piercing winter spiders appeared, many people had escaped from that area. Even Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had encountered many dangers, and were almost killed by the bone-piercing winter spiders several times. While Kang Shinmu was cultivating, the Jiang clan had sent out many people to search for the missing Jiang Cheng and the others. In this demon-slaying experience, the corpses of the other dead dragon warriors had been found. Although they had been gnawed by the monster beasts to the point where only their bones were left, they were still found. However, only Jiang Cheng, the thunder-slaying true dragon's inheritor, the clear wave water dragon's inheritor, and Jiang Qiue's lackey couldn't even be found. It could be said that not even their bones were left. This situation was very similar to the disappearance of Jiang Xinyu and Jiang Luo. But no matter how the Jiang clan investigated, it was impossible to find out the reason. Many of the young dragon warriors of the Jiang clan who had participated in the demon-slaying training were summoned by the elders of the 5 prefectures and asked about the details. It had to be known that the Jiang clan did not have many true dragon inheritors. It was unexpected that one would go missing during the demon-slaying training. It was impossible to let this matter go so easily. Moreover, Jiang Cheng's father had a certain status in the southern prefecture, and he had quite a bit of influence in the Jiang clan. How could they let it go so easily? Even Jiang Yuaning was summoned by Jiang Rong and a few other elders. But Jiang Yuaning only said one thing, that she had not seen the 3 missing people. Jiang Rong even asked about Kang Xinmu's talent. For this, Jiang Yuaning naturally could not answer truthfully, but if she did not give a clear answer, they would become even more suspicious. Therefore, Jiang Yuaning directly said that Kang Xinmu's talent was to absorb the enemy's power and turn it into his own defense. It was because of this that she and Kang Xinmu were able to kill the bone-piercing winter spiders. It was all because of Kang Xinmu that he was the meat shield. This kind of innate ability had existed before. However, what Jiang Rong and the others didn't know was that Jiang Shenwu's devouring ability was far more tyrannical than his absorbing ability. The absorption power had appeared in the Jiang clan before, so it could not be the reason for Jiang Cheng and the others' disappearance. After a period of investigation, Jiang Yuaning and Kang Xinmu, who were suspected by many, were completely ruled out. The reason why Jiang Yuaning was investigated was because she had performed exceedingly well in the demon-slaying experience. It made people suspect that she and Kang Xinmu had killed Jiang Cheng and snatched the Earth Demon's Fey core from him. It was not impossible, but unfortunately, both Jiang Yuaning and Kang Xinmu gave the same excuse when they were investigated. They clearly explained where the Fey core came from, so there was no reason to suspect them. The most important thing for Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning was to cultivate. Then, Kang Xinmu planned to wait until he had familiarized himself with the 3 dragon martial techniques and raised his cultivation level. Then, he would choose a few missions from the Jiang clan's palace to complete. On one hand, he could increase his strength, and on the other hand, he could see if he had the opportunity to meet other dragon warriors, so that his devouring power could be put to good use. Chapter 38-47. 10 days later. Kang Xinmu finally stepped into the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, which made him feel that the strength in his body had improved, and after transforming into a dragon, his devouring power was also 3 times stronger than before. Now in the early stage of the Dragon Ascension realm, the increase in cultivation base by 1 layer was the same as the increase in the Earth Demon realm by 1 layer, and the increase in strength was not particularly big. Only at the beginning of the 7th layer, the gap would suddenly widen. The gap between the 1st layer and the 6th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm was like the gap between the 1st layer and the 6th layer of the Earth Demon realm. And once the 6th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm was promoted to the 7th layer, the increase in strength was equivalent to the promotion from the 1st layer to the 6th layer. From this, it could be seen that the 6th layer to the 7th layer was the most important part of the dragon martial artist's cultivation, and the difficulty was also extremely high. But in any case, Kang Xinmu's strength had now increased by at least 3 times compared to before. Moreover, in these 10 days, Kang Xinmu had already read through the 3 dragon martial skills, and gained a lot of understanding of them, knowing the characteristics and application of each dragon martial skill. Iron Blood Dragon Body, devouring spiritual chi to strengthen the dragon martial artist's body, making the divine dragon's body more resistant to beatings. Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, able to use the divine dragon's sharp claws to break the enemy's body, and its penetrative power was very strong. Especially when combined with Kang Xinmu's devouring power, this method could obtain a miraculous effect. Sky-Piercing Dragon Shadow would be the dragon martial skill that Kang Xinmu would use the most. After all, this dragon martial skill could enhance Kang Xinmu's divine dragon speed by at least 2 times, and even when cultivated to the great accomplishment realm, he could directly pierce through the air, leaving behind a divine dragon afterimage, extremely terrifying. After all, these dragon martial skills were 5th grade dragon martial skills. Although they were not very high grade dragon martial skills, they were already quite good among the dragon martial artists who had just stepped into the Dragon Ascension realm. After the breakthrough, Kang Xinmu walked out of the cultivation tower. Previously, he had always kept a low profile, and no one had come to provoke him. After all, everyone knew that he had a good relationship with Jiang Yuaning. Moreover, he had helped the dragon martial artists of the Grand Supreme Palace to obtain first place in the demon-slaying experience. Although those people didn't think that Kang Shinmu had contributed much, it was impossible for them to cause trouble for Kang Shinmu. But today, the situation seemed to be a little different. Before, when Jiang Haixing was playing with him, there were two young dragon warriors from the royal palace. At this time, they were standing at the entrance of the cultivation tower, waiting for something. When they saw Kang Shinmu coming out of the cultivation tower, their eyes suddenly lit up. Kang Shinmu, you're finally out. One of them dashed towards Kang Shinmu aggressively with a look of anticipation on his face. Kang Shinmu glanced at the two of them. He didn't remember that he had any interaction with these two before. They had only participated in the demon-slaying experience together and were both young dragon martial artists who had just stepped into the dragon ascension realm. Everyone says that you're a genius, but whether you're a true genius or not, we'll only know after testing. The one who spoke had a look of arrogance on his face. I heard that you chose the void-piercing dragon shadow as well as I did. As a member of the younger generation of the royal palace, I want to challenge you to learn from each other and see how well we've mastered the void-piercing dragon shadow. When Kang Shinmu heard this, he turned out to be looking for trouble. This made his eyes light up. Originally, he was a little worried. After stepping into the second layer of the dragon ascension realm, no one had come to exchange pointers with him. He didn't expect that someone would immediately come to his door. Sure, what's your name? Kang Shinmu didn't show any special expression and asked calmly. My name is Jiang Wuchang, you'll definitely remember this name in the future. As the person spoke, a proud look appeared on his face. Kang Shinmu sized up this Jiang Wuchang and found that this person looked very ordinary. If placed in a crowd, it would be difficult to notice him. However, there was a hint of ruthlessness in his eyes. Clearly, he was not a simple character. He looked to be about 26 years old. Among the people who stepped into the Dragon Ascension realm this year, he was considered average. Kang Shinmu remembered that this Jiang Wuchang seemed to have obtained the blood essence of a wind attribute divine dragon. It was a 12-zhang long ordinary dragon. After thinking for a while, Kang Shinmu said to him, then let's meet in 3 days at the martial arena. I'll be there. After saying this, Kang Shinmu turned around and was about to leave. However, Jiang Wuchang immediately stopped him. Wait, many people are looking forward to witnessing your strength. It doesn't seem appropriate if we don't add some excitement to this spar. What do you think? Hearing this, Kang Shinmu frowned. Since this person had said so, he must have come with a purpose. It was not just a simple spar with the dragon martial skill. This made Kang Shinmu immediately pay attention. This guy was probably here to cause trouble for him. However, Kang Shinmu had not tried the sky-piercing dragon shadow after practicing it. Now that there was a rare opportunity for actual combat, of course, he would not miss it. Then tell me, how do you want to spar? Kang Shinmu did not agree directly. Instead, he turned around and asked. It's very simple. Let's have a spar. Whoever loses will be the other party's follower for 7 days. How about that? Jiang Wuchang looked at Kang Shinmu provocatively. Kang Shinmu raised his eyebrows. This guy seemed to be very sure that he was not a match for him. Why was that? Could it be that this guy was extremely talented in practicing the dragon martial skill? The conditions of the spar were not a problem for Kang Shinmu. Anyway, he was about to accept a mission to experience some actual combat in the outside world. If Jiang Wuchang was his follower, it would be safer for him. Of course, if he accepted the mission now, Kang Shinmu would not accept the missions that were too difficult, lest he got himself into trouble. It was not a bad idea to have Jiang Wuchang as an errand boy. However, at the same time, Kang Shinmu wondered if there was someone else behind Jiang Wuchang's provocation. Logically speaking, it was all thanks to Kang Shinmu that Jiang Wuchang was able to practice the 5th-grade dragon martial skill, the sky-piercing dragon shadow. There was no reason for Jiang Wuchang to cause trouble for Kang Shinmu. Therefore, Jiang Shenwu kept an eye on Jiang Wuchang. There was most likely someone else behind Jiang Wuchang who disliked him and wanted to humiliate him. Sure, the loser will be his follower for 7 days. The conditions of the spar are very suitable. Kang Shinmu nodded with a smile and turned around to leave. His behavior made Jiang Wuchang and the other man a little confused. Wuchang, this guy agreed so easily. It seems like he is very confident. Chapter 38-48. Kang Shinmu naturally did not think too much about what Jiang Wuchang was thinking. He only knew that after 3 days, he would be able to comprehend the 3 martial skills to the level of proficiency, and his fighting strength would at least double compared to before. He still remembered that Jiang Wuchang had inherited the blood essence of the mortal dragon, called the Peerless Swift Shadow Dragon, and mastered the innate power of the wind attribute. His speed was already very fast, and if he cultivated the void-piercing dragon shadow, his speed would be even faster. However, Kang Shinmu did not worry about anything because of this. It did not matter if the opponent was fast, the key was his attack ability. After Kang Shinmu cultivated the Iron Blood Dragon body, his Divine Dragon body was much more resistant to beatings than before, and the attack of the first layer of the Dragon Ascension realm could not do anything to him. If he went to the heaven-driving forest again, he would at least be able to challenge the 5th layer of the Earth Demon. Of course, now that he was fighting against Jiang Wuchang in the clan's martial arena, Kang Shinmu would not use the devouring power, because it was not necessary. Even if he admitted defeat, he would not use the devouring power, not to mention that he was not likely to lose. After returning, Kang Shinmu continued to cultivate the 3 dragon martial skills. Iron Blood Dragon body could passively strengthen his Divine Dragon body, making him more resistant to beatings. The void-piercing dragon shadow increased Kang Shinmu's speed, and the Roaring Sky Dragon Claw was definitely his main attack method at this stage. When the time came, it would be fine if he did not use it, but once he used it, he must directly kill the opponent, otherwise, it would not be so easy for Kang Shinmu to win. The cultivation of the dragon martial skill was divided into 4 levels: human level, earth level, dragon level, and heaven level. After cultivating the human level dragon martial skill, one would be able to use the dragon martial skill preliminarily and display its proper effect. After cultivating the dragon martial skill to the earth level, one would be able to cooperate with the power of the earth to enhance the power and effect of the dragon martial skill. As for reaching the dragon level or even heaven level, the power would be even stronger. However, to cultivate the dragon martial skill to the dragon level, it was basically not something that the current Kang Shinmu could do. Right now, Kang Shinmu had not even reached the basic human realm, because he had just started practicing the 3 moves of the dragon martial skill. If he focused on one of the dragon martial techniques and focused on training, he might be able to train one of the dragon martial techniques to the human level. However, Kang Shinmu was training 3 dragon martial techniques at the same time, so his speed was a little slow. 3 days later, Kang Shinmu will have to train one of the dragon martial techniques to the mortal realm before he can duel with Jiang Wuchang. That was because his opponent had most likely trained the air-piercing dragon shadow to the human level. Its speed, combined with the peerless shadow swiftness dragon's talent, would be extremely fast. If Kang Shinmu did not have any trump cards up his sleeves, there was still a chance that he would lose. In that case, I'll choose the Iron Blood Dragon body. Kang Shinmu quickly made a decision. The Iron Blood Dragon body would strengthen the body of a divine dragon. Once his defense was enhanced, as long as his opponent could not break through his defense, then he would be able to remain undefeated. In order to quickly cultivate the Iron Blood Dragon body, it was recorded in the Dragon Martial Technique manuals. One needed to do things that ordinary dragon warriors could not do. For example, there were a few methods. One of them was to be burned by the refining fire and use the body of a divine dragon to quickly cultivate the Iron Blood Dragon body. However, this method was not suitable for Kang Shinmu. This was because in the Jiang tribal clan, it was not easy to find a refining fire, not to mention using the body of a divine dragon to burn it. If Jiang Zizai was still here, then the refining fire would not be a problem for Kang Shinmu. But now, the Grand Master refiners of the Jiang tribal clan's Grand Duke Palace could not be bothered to give him face, so he would not invite a snub. Anyway, there were other ways to cultivate the iron blood dragon body. He only had 3 days left, so he could only choose one of the fastest methods, and that was to let others attack him. In the process of constantly getting injured, he could improve. This was the fastest way to cultivate, but it was not something that an ordinary dragon warrior could bear. But for Kang Shinmu, it was not a problem. Because he could use the power of devouring. As long as he had enough Earth Fey cores, he could quickly recover from all injuries. I'll go find Jiang Yuaning. Kang Shinmu quickly made a decision. Because in the entire Jiang tribal clan, only Jiang Yuaning and his mother, Gu Yuero, knew of his devouring power. But it was impossible for his mother to harm Kang Shinmu. Even if it was just to cultivate the dragon martial technique, Gu Yuero would not be able to do it. Moreover, Gu Yuero was not a dragon warrior. Even if she wanted to harm Kang Shinmu, it would be extremely difficult. So, Kang Shinmu could only go find Jiang Yuaning. During the demon-slaying training, Kang Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had developed a good relationship. Their relationship was good, so it should not be a problem to ask her for help for 3 days. When Kang Shinmu arrived near Jiang Yuaning's residence, he saw her parents chatting in the courtyard. When they saw Kang Shinmu, their expressions changed. But it was not because they hated Kang Shinmu, but because they were surprised. They did not expect Kang Shinmu to come here. Kang Shinmu, it's you. Are you here to find Yuaning? In the Jiang tribal clan, the buildings in the Grand Prince's mansion were family units. It was a pity that Kang Shinmu's father, Jiang Zizai, was missing. Otherwise, they could be said to be a happy family of 3. For thousands now, Jiang Yuaning's parents were here, so they naturally lived with her. Yes. Kang Shinmu nodded. She hasn't returned yet. She should be on the way back from cultivation. Come in and sit for a while. Jiang Yuaning's parents could only be said to be ordinary members of the Jiang tribal clan. But because Jiang Yuaning had obtained the true dragon's blood essence, the couple's status had risen. The two of them seemed to be quite good to Kang Shinmu. They did not have any complaints. They were so amiable that Kang Shinmu wondered if Jiang Yuaning had told the couple his true strength. However, Jiang Yuaning would not carelessly say anything about Kang Shinmu, even to her own parents. Kang Shinmu could not refuse, so he entered the courtyard and sat down. He chatted with the couple for a while. Basically, it was Kang Shinmu asking for advice. Some of the questions regarding the dragon warrior's cultivation of dragon martial techniques were answered by the couple. Their attitude towards Kang Shinmu was quite good. This made Kang Shinmu think of his uncle, Jiang Rong. Jiang Rong used to be the same. He was very protective towards him, but ever since Kang Shinmu knew what kind of person Jiang Rong was, he never spoke to him again. And now, Jiang Rong was busy with the Jiang tribal clan's patriarch election. Naturally, he would not look for Kang Shinmu for no reason. After a while, Jiang Yuaning returned. She was surprised to see Kang Shinmu from afar. Why are you here? You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.